We're loading into the game here, so I don't know if we're going to have too much time. Did you want to say anything to Jesse? Jesse, did you want to chime in before we get into the game, or?
I mean, listen, Parker, I think this is going to be, I think, a real test for FaZe Clan. You know, this is a squad that we're used to seeing at international events, that we're used to seeing at the best level of Siege that we have, right, in the world. Reigning world champions, of course, and so to not make it to a major would be a massive blow to all of their expectations. NIP have looked really good this stage, though. There's no doubting that. They've been a really solid squad. They're 7-1. They got a 7-1 win in groups, which broke kind of a 6-map winning streak for FaZe versus NIP. So they really dominated them in the group stage, a 7-1 game. BO3s are a different beast, you know, and I think it's been a while since that BO1, so it definitely could be a different situation today, but we'll kind of get to find out how much of the confidence FaZe have, how much this team is really back, or how much they might have fallen off from their better days, because there's no doubt about it. The previous group stage that we've just seen from them is not what we were expecting, and even with yesterday's game, going 2-0 against Liquid, but 8-7, 8-6, I think was still below what people were expecting from them.
I mean, NIP has just continued to improve as a team, right? I think it's been somewhat of a surprise for people who haven't been watching this roster as they've found their stride. FaZe Clan are in so many people's eyes the presumptive favorite of every matchup that they go into, based solely on the domination that FaZe as a team has shown over the last 3, honestly 4 years. You can go all the way back to that Yavla major that we had in, what was it, the fall of 2021? Fall of 2022? I think it was 2021 if memory serves correctly. And all those like COVID-ish events tend to blur together on the same timeline. But FaZe basically since then have been just on another level. One of the most consistent teams and one of the best in the world. The best in the world right now. They are the reigning defending SI champs. It was announced a couple weeks ago that SI will be going to Paris next year. And whether FaZe will be able to defend their crown or another team, another champion will be had, remains to be seen. But first things first, get to the Munich Major, prove your worth. You got to get through NIP first. And just like that, Fantasy dies early. The Glaz taken down. And now the Osa of Cons was next in line in Garage, but FaZe does not won that engagement.
Must have been a crazy shot, long range, Vidiking with the MPX beating out the sniper of Fantasy. That's not easy to do. Early good signs for the captain. This could be another good sign, though, to come through. Wizard, brilliantly done, sneaks into server. They had no clue that he was in that position. He snuck past without detonating that fire pipe, and so definitely Souls thought, okay, nobody's entered in just yet. That is the wrong call. Hates a frag onto Handy. That's going to be top floor, a big one to come through. He was trying to go for a bit of a flank Parker, make something aggressive happen. KDS looking to do much the same, but the drone will force him back. They still find a player. Cyber top floor tried to get aggressive too, but Hates is the read on all of this.
Wizard now taking out Vidiking. There goes KDS. NIP answering back. All they need to do is sacrifice Fantasy early on, and that is it. My goodness. There's a reason why NIP finished first overall in Brazil this stage. Out of all the teams, NIP was the best, which heading into stage 2, I don't think most people had on their bingo card. Jesse, they were admittedly tied with Furious, so even though they were first overall, it was a title that they shared. They ended up first because of round differential. This was a squad that finished in 3rd place in stage 1. NIP far removed from both FaZe Clan and W7M, at least a win behind them. But they were in a bit of a logjam. Furia, Team Liquid, Black Dragons, all in striking distance of each other in stage 1, but NIP just leveling up and vaulting over the competition now in stage 2. Almost every region has seen consistency across this top 6. Brazil is no different. South America League showing that there's pretty big parity here. Black Dragons maybe taking some missteps, but beyond that, the usual suspects doing quite well. NIP starting off strong against FaZe Clan on Bank. Again, this is a map that should be relatively favorable to the attackers. It was picked by NIP. They're starting on the statistical better side. They should be able to run up the score here against FaZe.
It's interesting. The one time NIP played Bank this stage, that was of course up against Furia, and they lost that game 7-5. But on their attacking half, the only bomb site they were successful in attacking was that bottom floor inside the basement. They went 0-2 open area, 0-2 attacking the top floor, and then 2 for 2 attacking onto the basement. So might just be the NIP are extremely proficient at attacking that bottom floor side. Again, with how good Furia have been, losing 7-5 to them on Bank is not a huge downside, right? They still can be a very strong team on this map just because they lost to Furia. FaZe Clan also had a close game against Furia on this map. That was an 8-6 earlier on this stage. So you see some really close games against the best Bank team in the region from both of these teams. Neither of them with wins, but came very close on both sides. It's kind of a must-win round from FaZe Clan. You would hate to go down 0-2 on your defensive side where you get to choose the bomb sites. At the moment, it's a very standard kind of top floor hold with the exception of Cyber hiding away in the basement, playing that kind of ratty role that he loves to play on defense. We'll see if he has any impact later on, but similar to the last round that we saw in that previous matchup, Parker, it feels like this is going to be a focus really on top square and on getting in through these CEO windows. So I don't know how much value the flank's going to have.
I mean, you got 3 players of NIP all aligned on Repel, looking at those windows, very vulnerable to a potential lobby play. I think Pino's the only one holding this down, and shot onto Handy. My God. We saw it coming. I feel like you felt it build to that moment, and boy, is the payoff ever worth it.
Now what do you do as a response for FaZe Clan? You kind of want to make something happen if you're Cyber, but it feels like NIP have read into this. Hates moving his way down. Was Cyber caught on a drone is my question. It seems like he might have been. There is actually a drone here inside of the staff room, so they'll know his position. Hates is going to just wait and watch for this flank from Cyber. There's really nowhere else that he could go. Cyber, the phone call might give him a bit of pause. Meant just help this push through the top floor. Janitor will be the goal as they try to make space with the blitz.
It's Fantasy now, just waiting things out. Down goes Fantasy, down goes KDS. Vidaking will join. You hear the shield go absolutely buckwild. FaZe Clan really struggling at the moment. Cyber struggling in particular against Cons, and Wizard will seal the deal just as he did in round 1. Wizard putting things away for round 2. FaZe Clan suffering through these first 2 rounds. NIP have been all over them.
Really clean attacks to come through so far. Getting that opening pick when they need to, then being able to storm through the bomb site. It will prompt attack timeout. Again, you go down 0-2 on your defenses. That's a huge red flag, and I think they're right to call attack timeout here, try to get the team back on track. You know, it's tough when you lose that opening pick, right? Handy dies, the long angle on the rappel to Pino. There's no shot you're ever going to trade that back. It is what it is. But from that point forward, you know, you're doing a decent job of trading things back. You do kill Fantasy in the top floor, but Vidaking kind of falls flat. That blitz really doesn't have a good answer. They don't even use all 3 Toxic Babes on the smoke. So there's a little bit of util that's actually dying in the pocket. And then Cyber just doesn't feel like he's having much of an impact. His rotate back up the lobby stairs should have resulted in a kill onto Cons, but the fact that he whiffed those shots and that Cons never really got punished despite going so aggressive through the site on the blitz is, I think, really a problem they're going to have to get their heads around. They did a lot of the right things, right? They had a crossfire on the blitz, but they just couldn't hit the shot when it mattered the most. And so getting back on track with that, calming the nerves a little bit early in this best of 3 series is vitally important because you need this to go deep on Bank and then hopefully go your way on the next 2 maps as well.
It's not the most worrying sign for FaZe Clan right now, though. FaZe opting to start on defense does leave you wondering. Maybe they just don't feel the most confident on attack, Jesse.
I mean, when again, I think it kind of comes back to just NIP struggling on the attack when they played this against Furia. Their defenses were actually pretty good. They went 3-3 up against the best Bank team in South America. So that would be my guess for FaZe. They've played a lot of Bank this stage. They've played 39 rounds of this map, and they have a very good win rate, about 54% on both sides. So I would guess it's more to do with their opponents than themselves, but can't really know without asking.
Fair point. So it looks like the same focus for Nip right now as they shoot out all those windows leading upstairs to office, as they will have to now set their sights on this staff and open area defense. Top floor control will be just as important as on most of these bomb sites, and Bank is one of the few maps where teams will likely roam on every floor, sometimes even the top floor, even with the bomb site down in the basement, as you saw back in round number 1. But here, staff open area, you're going to need to keep these hatches protected. They've already been opened up, so no hard destruction will be expended on the side of Nip to get clearer passage to this bomb site to be able to drop on down. Nip have changed things up though, Jesse. Now, main lobby hold, and they might just push their way through Printer as they use the Aurora to close off that double door and smoke the cross. I like what Nip's doing here.
It's a creative take. We haven't seen Hate play the Aurora on this bomb site before. This is a new tech that they're just bringing out for this important game against FaZe Clan. Might be catching them off guard. The Logic Bomb and Candelas all come out at once, and they're trying to collapse on Cyber, but his C-Force will keep them at bay for now.
There's the pistol out. Damos searching for something. FaZe getting up on the board now. 2 kills in a row. Damos gets nothing. Pino dies as well. Nip. Their worst start, dare I say it? All 5 players still up on FaZe Clan, all still at full HP as well. Wizard yet to die, Hate's yet to die, Khan's yet to die, so Fantasy, the only one who died prior to the start of this round, just goes to show you how middling this offense has been from FaZe. With 1 minute left, Nip have an opportunity to sort out next steps. FaZe Clan do not seem like the type of team that will give them an early pick. No unforced errors on the side of FaZe Clan. 40 seconds left.
Someone's got to be a hero at this point. Find a big opening frag. You're out of util on Wizard with the Candelas. Some flashes from Khans. He tosses the first one now, but it doesn't hit anybody, so they're still just fishing.
They will cycle around yet again. Nip in very big danger of stalling out here. Khan's holding that defuse kit, no logic bombs remaining. The Aurora can still close off 2 doorways, but that's about it. Hates will have some struggles doing that now that he's in the ground. Finally, Nip gets on the board, but it looks like 1 kill might be all they can muster. Wizard will find a second for Nip, his first of the round, and then will suffer his first death as well. FaZe Clan finally get on the board.
Yeah, I'm struggling to really see where the plan was for a lot of that utility. Fantasy died with all 3 of his trackers in his pocket, so he didn't use any of the Damos utility. The Aurora doors, I didn't see any massive value. Again, closing off Printer, maybe there's some value in that, but it didn't feel like it resulted in any big kills going the way of NIP. The Candelas on the Ying, completely wasted. I didn't see where they went, but I don't think they hit a single player as they got tossed out. And the Logic Bomb, it definitely was attempted to be used to try to clear out Cyber, but I think the timing just a little bit off. The first Logic Bomb goes down right before Cyber gets cleared, and the second one right after he gets his kill. So you kind of don't accomplish your goal of clearing out Cyber with that. A lot of the util just maybe not really coming together in the way that they were hoping for NIP. A bomb site where perhaps they need to go back to the drawing board with the strategies, because it just didn't feel like they had a good grasp on how to clear those roamers, and it was a very solo effort on dealing with those first couple of picks.
A bit of a small misstep there for this Nip team. Now they're going to look towards the bomb site where it all began. They suffered the opening loss. If you recall, that was the Glass of Fantasy marching his way through the garage, picked off by Vidiking, that long-range fight. It was the only round where the opening pick did not result in a direct conversion for that team. Nip recovered quite gracefully, if you recall. They kept the Osa in that position, and while they advanced while also moving their forces to the middle floor, a good rotate that went in, and then they just crushed FaZe Clan, pinching them perfectly between those 2 positions. Nip's going to go with something a little bit different this time. They're going to bring a fuse for the first time this matchup. Jesse, what do you think Khans is going to try to do with that operator?
Well, it's going to be the basement defense, and if you can get that top floor control, you can pop it through the hatches. That can honestly do a lot of good work to the Goyo canisters that are likely sitting inside of CCTV right now. So probably that's the main goal of the fuse, just deal with that site utility. There may also be some dread mines, maybe some barbed wire that you can deal with, but the Goyos will be kind of the primary focus for Khans. Also does give him the opportunity to bring a shield if he wants to. Khans is a big shield player. He runs a lot of these operators for the team, so it wouldn't surprise me at all if he's going to be rocking that shield instead of the AK. Open things up, but they've got to clear the roam game first, Parker. This is a really aggressive hold being held by Cyber, and with KDS dying too, it becomes all the more important that somebody on FaZe Clan can step up and get the trade back. If it's not Cyber, it has to be Handy, and if it's not Handy, well, this round might just be lost.
Nip just needs to hold now as FaZe Clan under watch, under ear as well. Logic bomb's going off. Cyber's only been able to muster a single kill, which for him is well below what we come to expect of his abilities. FaZe Clan a very deep team, and they can all frag on the best of days. They will need it in this round right now as Ninjas and Pyjamas are just simply outnumbering them, outgunning them too. FaZe Clan not putting up as good of a defense as we saw back in round number 1. They still lost that round, but at least they were able to show a little bit of fight. Look at the HPs on Nip. Untouched. They still got plenty of utility. 3 Bs for Grim, 3 cluster charges, 4 walls for the Sens, all the fire and all the smoke, and 1 logic bomb. Nip has gotten 3 kills, Jesse, without using really any gadgets. These have just been straight engagements.
They've also hacked the cams, so all the Valkyrie cameras are working for the attackers this time around. It's pretty much a nightmare, Parker. I'm not sure what Souls and Vidaking can do, but it's the support duo of FaZe. They've been in situations like this before and walked away with the victory.
Vidaking has absolutely no wall, no protection now as he emerges from gold into red tunnel. That hallway could be his tomb. Nitro Cell goes out, he walks away, it doesn't do anything. Finally, some damage is done to Nip as Wizard suffers through that. Cons with defuse kit, and now it's time for the final logic bomb to go off. Vidaking isolated in this position, tussling with Fantasy, secures the kill. 10 seconds remain, but Diffuser's about to go down to keep that timer running. Pino will seal the deal right after the case gets planted, and Nip goes back to their winning ways.
This feels so easy. It's crazy when you watch this team attack this site. It's supposed to be the strongest side of the map, but for NIP, it seems to be the one that they have the least troubles with. Again, it comes down to that roam game. You know, I thought in round 3, the roam clear wasn't really all there, but this time the logic bombs were perfectly timed by Hates. KDS, Cyber, and Handy all choosing to play aggressive. And, you know, it's not generally the meta on that site to lose 3 bodies up on the top floor roam. Generally, if you're going to even have anybody on the roam, it's a very light presence, shoot some drones, fall off. All day today, we've seen teams, Furia, W7M, and now FaZe Clan as well, buck the trend a little bit, go for a bit more aggressive play on that mid floor, but just a disaster in that attempt from FaZe Clan. It's really odd because I feel like that 3-headed trident, KDS, Cyber, and Handy, the 3 kind of entry flex players for this team, have historically been so good when it comes to trading off each other, when it comes to playing off of one another's positions. But in that round, they were very scattered. They weren't really able to do much with one another. And even though Handy and Cyber were kind of together in the midpoint of it, it didn't result in any sort of a trade back, which I'm not used to seeing from the world champions, to be honest.
No, Nip has had their number so far here on Bank. Again, though, I will caution any naysayers. We say nay from time to time, so I can be considered one of those. But Nip starting on attack on their own map. They've really been given a big leg up to start with. So maybe FaZe Clan can turn on the Jets in the second half, or maybe it takes Consulate as map number 2 to see if FaZe are able to find some life. But Nip have just been playing with their food at this point. 7 kills for Wizard. My goodness. That's 1 fewer kill than all of FaZe Clan combined at this point in time. And that's obviously not counting the rest of Nip. So the scoreline really does go to show how dominant a game this has been for the Ninjas.
Yeah, Wizard on the Nook this round too. Going to be a great counter to the Valkyrie, which Cyber has brought every single round, by the way. Thought maybe it would get banned after the 3rd, but it hasn't really been a problem. Maybe more of a boon for NIP than anything, as we've seen the Dokkaebi do some great work up against this operator so far. Cyber, it feels like almost every round has been very far from his team, playing on an island. That's by design, of course, but it does feel like NIP have read that this is the game plan for Cyber, and if Wizard's able to sneak past some of these Valk cams, hunt down star player on FaZe, then it could make a huge difference when it comes to the actual execute. It'll take some time to make that happen, of course. Cyber is looking to just get a late round flank. He doesn't necessarily want to engage with anybody in the first half of the round, but if Wizard has his way, then he will be able to go for a play like that. And you can see Cyber flicking through lobby default cam. When Wizard walks in, he will not know it.
There goes Fantasy. He was sacrificed early in round number 1. Cons dies as well. FaZe Clan getting their licks in real good. A minute left on the clock, and now it's Nip doing their best doing their best FaZe impression. Wizard now dies as well at the hands of Cyber. And with 50 seconds left, it's all up to Hates. You hates to see it, don't you, Jesse? He takes some gunfire from inside of Tellers, pushing up towards that Tellers Archives door. Down goes Cyber, and Hates has found his 4th kill. A long and grueling fight, though, that ate up about 20 seconds on the clock, does not put him in a good position for the remainder of the round. And, well, FaZe Clan will put him in an even worse one, a casket. FaZe Clan managed to win their 2nd round. The gap between these two teams closing to 1. These rounds have been so dominant, back and forth, back and forth. If you win, it seems you win big. FaZe Clan understood that in the previous round.
Honestly, just comes down to great site play. We were very distracted by the Cyber Wizard 1v1 going down in lobby, but whilst Wizard was trying to make a play over there, NIP were getting into the site. They had entered through top square. They had found some space inside of CEO, but there's a really big 2K from Souls just playing long desk, able to hit some good angles that he had been set up for a while to try to go for, and was able to lock that down, stop the entry as it came in. Would have loved to see how Cons died on the Blackbeard, because it felt like he was the real spearhead of that push that should have been the one making the difference. But however it happened, it wasn't favorable for NIP. So FaZe Clan very much alive. They may have lost the bottom bomb site, which again should be the strongest site. They went 0-2 for it, and they won't try it again in round 6. But if they can make this open defense work, if they can get another round on the board, a 3-3 half, then moving to the attack on Bank actually looks pretty good for them on their opponent's map pick.
I mean, there's a reason why FaZe would have chose this side, so maybe they did what we talked about. Actually, I can't remember if it was yesterday or the day before's show, where you choose the side that you think is a little bit harder, get it out of the way, and then find your groove and use that to your advantage when you're warmed up in the second half. Now, obviously, this hinges upon you not mentally imploding first. FaZe Clan are certainly a team that does not suffer those mental implosions. They've got a mind of steel. The one exception might be that SI against Furia, which at the time was competing under W7M, but that's more of an exception than the rule. That's also the biggest match in the biggest event of the year, and it's on home soil. You know how badly Brazil wanted to win the hammer on home soil, and to be the first team to do so, emotions can get the better of you. I don't think emotions are going to get the better of FaZe here and now, though there is a qualification spot on the line. For those that don't know the stakes, the winner here becomes the 2nd team to qualify to the Munich Major from the South America League.
Only a few teams remaining to be qualified. I believe 2 from EU and then 2 from SA next week as well, after this game finds our 2nd team. Top floor clear, I think, is going to be the objective for Cons as he starts to walk up the spiral stairs. Logic Bomb from Fantasy as well. Up to greet him will be KDS, just playing in the elevator, but he drops the hatch right as the smoke pops, leaving Handy and Vidaking alone on the top floor, trying to make some good rotates, but it's instead Vidaking who fires out first, taking down Hates and opening up the escape for him and his teammates.
Suffering the first loss is never good, and Nip's been in this position a fair bit this first half.
What? You saw him, right?
I'm sure he did.
Okay.
Maybe just a bit of brain fog, maybe some brain delay. Maybe they didn't sleep particularly well. FaZe, by the way, leading the way with opening kills so far, 4-2.
Not a bad start here on their last defense of the half with the man advantage and everybody escaping through the top floor. What tools do NIP really have? They didn't bring much soft breach. A few charges on Pino will be all they really have to start working on the floorboards, plus potential secondaries on Wizard, but we really have to see them work a pick at some point. Cons on the blitz is not going to be able to do it all himself. He's going to head main stairs with 30 seconds remaining and a logic bomb at his side to try to find some kind of an opening onto the bomb site.
You hear more gunfire getting exchanged. Nip, despite sacrificing early picks, have been able to pull a rabbit out of a hat, and it looks like the Wizard is going to do some magic this time around along with his team, but He finds one important kill on the KDS, and suddenly it's Souls against 4 Souls on the side of Nip. Out goes the Nitro Cell. Fantasy will turn to reality as the pun round ends, and it's Nip going up 4-2 with the first half in the books.
And honestly, not an easy attack to finish things off. NIP really had to dig deep for that one, but you saw with the blitz going down the main stairs, they checked their corners, they were ready for any type of aggression, and Pino in particular, following up the blitz, playing on those main stairs, kills one inside of Tellers and then a second at the bottom of the main stairs. Absolutely critical from the veteran of NIP. He joined this org back in 2018 and has not left it ever since. One of the longest tenured players on a single team that we have in all of Rainbow Six Siege. Of course, won the world championship with this team as well when they lifted the hammer a few years ago in Paris. Fitting that we're kind of going back to that same city for SI. You have to imagine that's going to motivate NIP even more to make it to that event. The path to Paris very much goes through Munich, as most of the SI points you're going to be acquiring will come through the major. Regional finals are also important. This stage, these playoff games they're playing right now are also very important for that. But NIP, I got to say, are in quite a good spot. 3rd place in stage 1 and now looking to be in a strong spot for the major as well. That 4-2 half feels really nice.
It's been a while since we've seen Nip at the top of the region and the top of Siege. Frankly, it's been years since the dominance of this squad, but it does seem like there's only room for 1, maybe 2 good, really good Brazilian teams at the same time. For so long, all of that oxygen has been consumed by Furia/W7M when they played under that org, and FaZe Clan has been right behind them. But then you have standouts. That Raza Company Academy was there for a period of time. Now they play under the Loud banner. You also had MIBR for a brief period of time, flirting with the top. Liquid has been a mainstay as well, though they've been high highs and low lows over the last couple years. It's nice to see Nip regaining what they had before and finding that form and finding some momentum here. They joined Rainbow Six Esports almost a decade ago. Actually, they were one of the first major teams to sign on very quickly to join alongside Liquid and FaZe when there was that gold rush of big orgs coming into our esports. So nice to see the team doing well, and nice to see some of these players doing well. Fantasy and Hates in particular have been excellent players for so long that now are finally getting their moment in the sun.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Been really great this stage, and potential here now. Top floor. It's a great shot from Hayes. Beats out KDS. Really tough to hit, but with the sniper, KDS is not able to do a whole lot. Is there any type of a refrag, Parker? I'm not seeing it so far. Hates hasn't moved out of Tellers. He doesn't really have a great way back to site. He can go back through the open area hatch if he can make it that far. He's got Cons trying to protect him on that route, but it doesn't look like he really wants to leave. Now starts to fall back a little bit, try to get back towards the site as the 90-second mark will approach on this round. FaZe Clan needed to get more out of this early game, I fear. Khan still lurks in open area, but just above the hatch, there's no way he sticks around. Surely. Well, never mind.
Vidaking trading that one right back after suffering through a KDS loss, not even moments before. FaZe Clan might have a harder job here, even though this is an attack on Bank. Losing the Glaz early was a staple for both teams. That was the first operator that died back in round 1. It was Fantasy playing that operator, and it was this bomb site too. The Glaz was buried inside a garage. KDS will now see exactly what it's like to play this Russian sniper into aggressive defenders with terrific aim. That's 45 seconds for FaZe to shorten this lead that Nip has. It's a small missed opportunity by Fantasy. There goes one of those Goyo canisters. A long 20 seconds now, preventing access to the bomb site. Souls eliminates Fantasy. Nip went from winning to even, now to trailing, and the trail will continue. Not the trail you want. Hates in a 1v4, and what a play by Handy to seal the deal on that round and keep it close. FaZe Clan now 1 round away from tying things up.
And that's a huge couple of kills coming through from the entry fragger on FaZe. Just goes main stairs. He knows this team is kind of struggling server side. Toxic Babes have stopped the plants. There's Goyo canisters, which have slowed you down as well. They honestly did not have the utility to make a classic server push work. They had nobody coming in through garage. They had nobody on the backside of site. So Handy was kind of the only win con there. Had to make a difference pushing him through main stairs. 3 kills coming out from him. Looked really, really nice there and starts to give a bit of life back into FaZe Clan. I think, you look at that bottom floor, you expect the defense to win it every time. FaZe have historically not been a great attacking team on the bottom floor. 3-5 record attacking that through stage 2 so far, but this time it's good enough to beat out NIP. And it just comes from finding that gap. If you can have one player inserting themselves in a spot where they're able to open things up, that more than doubles Handy's kill counts in this matchup, then all of a sudden the defense starts to scramble. They lose important operators like the Echo, and things start to unwind for the defenders. A couple more rounds like that, and FaZe Clan will be right back in it.
Attacker's objective is to defuse a bomb.
You never count out a team like FaZe Clan. We got to see exactly why on that previous round. Despite having their backs against the wall, they waited out the time, forced Nip to overcommit. You saw a bit of eagerness on the side of Ninjas in Pyjamas. I believe that was Fantasy, who was hoping for that long-range pick down in red where he was staring towards servers. You get a bit antsy at this point in time. When there's 4 of them, you cannot allow a team to set up and pull off their execute the way that they want. I mean, FaZe Clan is a great team that will have an idea of how best to approach every single one of these bomb sites, even if it is a map that they are not the most familiar with. Major worrying sign for me on the side of FaZe, though, is Cyber. This is a player that you rely upon to get picks, to get opening frags, to take major engagements, and not only does he have the lowest kills per round on the team, but the lowest cost as well. The only player that's actually doing worse than him in terms of that cost is Fantasy. But Cyber, presently the lowest rated player in the lobby. On his role and with his stature as a player, he's got to figure it out. FaZe Clan will only continue to level up if their fraggers can get online.
Yeah, I mean, it would make a huge difference for Cyber to come alive in this game. He's playing below the site right now on the Nomad. Nobody currently going for flank, so won't be an active part of the early round, but could come back late for a bit of impact. Diffuse kit looks like it's going to come CEO window. Vidaking, a couple different areas he could still go, I suppose. 90 seconds on the clock. They do have the entry in through square, but not fully opened up. So it's kind of awkward if you want to walk it in through top square instead. I do think that'll eventually be the call. Vidaking passes the diffuser over to Souls instead, so still making their decisions. There's nobody in lobby, which means the rappel players are nice and safe. I like the droning, I like the information, but you got to be careful. Late round, NIP will be a threat. A Nitro for Cons and those Yokais from Pino.
And Nip will sacrifice that first player yet again. FaZe Clan just walking through this site, walking through the defenders. Pino and Cons last 2 standing. Cons almost losing his life. That round almost ended in the blink of an eye. There it goes. Cyber having a terrific round. FaZe Clan playing around it, and it's a tie game, Jesse.
Yeah, nothing too overcomplicated in that push. You tossed in some Bs. The Grim actually got quite a few players that came alongside that logic bomb, which was able to call the phones of 3 out of the 5 not standing on mute jammers. And it's mostly just a push in through square. That real force of FaZe Clan pushing all together square side, getting into CEO, fighting the players outside of Janitor, pressure in through stock as well as Vidaking started to make his presence known on that side of the map. And then it was really just Handy alone lobby side who was able to walk in, not really necessary in that round. You were asking for Cyber to heat up and start to show some of his skill. Well, there he was walking in with his teammates inside a CEO, coming in through the windows. So much of a menace in that previous round that it will prompt attack timeout from NIP. This game, 4-4, tied right back up, and the attacker-sided bank that we were expecting to see has reared its head. Caused a bit of a problem for NIP. They also go down 0-2 on their defensive side, and I mean, you can tell that this is really something the teams are not expecting to go up against. They're losing their strongest bomb sites, and it's causing panic now for both teams.
The one thing that NIP doesn't have is experience. They have not been a top team for a long enough period of time with these players making so many live events that they can rest on their laurels or know that they've been in this position and dig deep when needed. FaZe Clan, again, are a team that has battled just about every bit of adversity you could ever think of.
Discovered the location of a
They stood
bomb.
their ground against a W7M team, now playing under Furia, that mounted one of the most impressive comebacks we've ever seen in FaZe, despite coming up short in all of those rounds en route to a loss in the SI Grand Finals. They still gave it their all, round after round after round. They did the same thing in Boston, on their way to winning SI themselves, making up for last year when they obviously had fallen short. FaZe Clan are a team that can rely on each other. They know each other. That experience makes a big difference. And it's not even a strategic thing. Less experienced teams will shake. They will succumb to pressure. They will have issues with confidence. That's not something that FaZe has to worry about. NIP, they're a practice team, but they still don't have that same level of experience that FaZe does. And when the rubber hits the road, teams like NIP, teams like OXG, for example, in the NA League, they can fall short because they don't have that same level of experience.
Right after the attack timeout, we're going to go to open area. Third bomb site, sticking to the rotation as most teams do in a situation like this. Just try to make this third bomb site find some kind of success. Top floor roam, always going to be important. It's Hates, Cons, and Fantasy playing up here with Cons inside a Janitor. Hates not far away, just inside a Stock, and Fantasy kind of on the other side of the top floor, solo towards Lobby. Fantasy has captured a drone, so maybe a good bit of information that could go the way of NIP. Here it is now, driving through the top floor, and I mean, what they're noticing is that there's really nobody in the building. The only person who has entered at this point is Handy and ATMs. Has an opportunity to make a big play, but I don't know if he's aware of Pino.
Down goes Souls. NIP finally getting a first blood for the first time in, well, 2 rounds. It's much needed. Conversions have been mighty good so far, so the team that draws first blood has been doing it more often than not. NIP have fallen short on 1 occasion, FaZe on 2. That's about it. Cyber's also come online. Not that I called him out, Jesse, and changed the course for him, but he's up to 4 kills at this point. Everybody on FaZe Clan at 4 kills or more, which is a promising sign. Nobody really being left behind. The same can be said for NIP. Only Fantasy is below that. And again, we expect Fantasy to be doing better than he is. So expectation will be that if he doesn't bounce back here on Bank, maybe it materializes on Consulate. But if you don't have Fantasy fragging well and all of FaZe Clan starts to fire up the engines, NIP's firepower just might not be able to stand up against FaZe's.
Look at this droning from Fantasy like he's an attacker. Calling out all the information. It's going to assist Cons in trying to get this kill here in the elevator hallway. Cyber's not too far away. He's the one that tossed that nade. Barely avoided, does Cons. Here comes the swing, and it's a really nice frag from Fantasy. He was in the elevator the whole time, baiting them in and working with Cons to get that frag. It does get down to the 3-on-3. That nade will confirm it, Parker, but the time is a huge issue.
And there goes an aid to take out Cons, an equalizer, and a big breath of fresh air for FaZe Clan as they march their way into the site. Vidaking needing to find some safe harbor for that diffuser. He's just out of arm's reach, and they'll drop the diffuse kit because he gets felled. Nobody on FaZe in position to pick it back up. And a great play from NIP to completely topple the execute, wins them the round.
Honestly, I love that Mozzie play that came out from Fantasy start to finish in that round. It felt like the information was always favoring NIP. The opening pick was onto Souls. I believe that was just outside of the doorway up top square. Ended up being a really important kill that came through, gave that early advantage, and I think gave the initial pause to FaZe Clan where they didn't feel so confident clearing through the top floor. Kind of had to wait for NIP to give it up themselves. And I think waiting for that top floor to be conceded, then spending so much time on Cons down in the main stairs, not even being aware of Fantasy's position. They lost too many bodies and they wasted too much time. Good attempt by Vidaking trying to get into the site and get the plant down. But with less than 10 seconds, there's going to be a gap and someone on NIP is going to find it.
Attackers need to locate and
Good bounce back after the attack timeout. You were a little bit worried for NIP on their own map pick if they weren't able to win a single round on their first rotation, but they get through it. They get to that second set of operator bans where they'll take out the Nomad. Only brought a single time. That was by Cyber on their top floor attack. So interesting. They thought it was such a problem they had to remove it off the board. FaZe Clan will clear out the smoke. That was brought here on the basement by Pino last time that they played the site. and can obviously be an extremely powerful operator on all the sites to stop that plant from going down.
10 seconds to insertion. Deploying jammer.
Nip was successful 3 rounds with getting the diffuser planted. FaZe unable to do that so far through the 3 rounds that they've had to attack. Both of their attacks came just based on violence. Andy getting a 3K back in round number 7. Round 8 was a pretty large team effort after they got the first pick and snowballed from there. It was their slowest round in terms of in terms of timing. I'm assuming we're going to have a rehost or a remake here. Unless FaZe Clan decided to just quit the game, which I think is quite unlikely, Jesse.
Yeah, we're probably going to take a bit of time to get them back into things. It makes a lot of sense. Souls was playing on the Habana, which was the only primary hard breach they had that round. So going to be tough to make that basement push work if you can't open many of those hatches. They'll reset now and maybe get a bit of an opportunity to calm the nerves in what, again, should be a very important game. Winner of this series qualifies to the Munich Major. NIP up 5-4, but I think FaZe Clan have been the better team since the side swap. You're absolutely right about the plant statistics there. It's been much more like NIP to focus on the defuse kit. Actually, both these teams have an above average plant percentage. FaZe planting in 31% of their attacking rounds through the stage so far. NIP leads the South American League with 41% of their attacking rounds ending in a plant. They're also very even in terms of the plants that they allow, with NIP only allowing plants in 14% of their defensive rounds, and FaZe one better at 15%. I guess one worse. So it's very even when it comes to the objective play between these teams historically throughout the stage thus far, but NIP, I think, have a little bit of that edge. We got to see it through the group stage, and we saw it through that first half as well, with how committed they are to putting the plant on the ground. Something that Cons will focus on quite heavily, something that Vidaking will focus on quite heavily, and while it hasn't necessarily resulted in a bunch of defensive round wins for NIP, I think it could still be a victory that they've taken away, not allowing a lot of those plants kind of in the late round.
It's been abnormal to see FaZe Clan not focusing on the objective as much as usual. Typically, this is a team that likes the objective play and does a pretty good job of that. But I mean, when you've got a win rate as high as they do, among the highest of any team right now in all of the region, sitting in 3rd place, just ahead of Ninjas in Pyjamas, you get there from killing, and you also get there from objective play. In terms of pure plants, FaZe Clan only trails NIP. So you've got 2 very objective heavy teams playing. So the fact that NIP was able to pull off 3 successful plants in 6 rounds, and we are 3 rounds in now, and we have yet to see a successful plant from FaZe Clan despite the fact that they won 2 rounds. Maybe that just overall calculus, they don't think they need it, Jesse. Maybe with the way that NIP is playing, keeping roamers deeper off site, when NIP gets these opening picks, as they've been doing more often than not, maybe they assess, hey, it's a far easier path for us to just get a couple frags than it is for us to get a frag or 2 and then immediately try to pull off and execute. The way that NIP's defense is structured is prime for the picking. That could be a thought process that NIP has.
Yeah, I think it's also, anytime we're talking about objectives and we're talking about plants, the map makes a huge difference, right? And when you think about plants on bank, it's usually the basement bomb site where teams will focus on the objective more so than getting those kills. The one time that we saw FaZe attack down on the basement, it was way too late to ever get a plant on, and they only won that round thanks to some heroics from Handy pushing the main stairs and getting 3 kills down into the basement. So this 10th round, when we eventually load back in, I think will be quite telling as to how FaZe are going to be doing with the objectives throughout this series. You'd expect them to be able to get a plant down on the bottom floor. NIP were able to get a plant down on one of their 2 bottom floor attacks, and so this would probably be where you see it. Again, it doesn't matter too much, I suppose, as long as they're winning the rounds, but I don't think you can reliably count on Handy getting 3 kills on the main stairs every time you attack that bomb site. There's going to be somebody who's able to shoot back at some point on the side of NIP.
Bit of a longer break as we get everybody back in. No ETA yet. I don't know what afflicted FaZe Clan and why they all decided to leave the lobby at roughly the same time. I think it was Souls who disconnected first, but my memory is a bit spotty.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it definitely was Souls who disconnected first, and I'm watching the clean feed, the admin feed, Parker. Every FaZe player is back in the lobby except Souls. So it might be something with his equipment or something that's going wrong at the moment.
I'd like to remind people that we are a rebroadcast of the SA League. The primary broadcast is done down in Brazil, casted in Portuguese, and done by the very capable and frankly incredibly talented staff that we have down there, especially the casters. I don't like hearing my own voice. I know that might sound strange for this job, but getting to listen to all of the duos that they have in Brazil is really quite a treat for these games. So we are often at the mercy of whatever the main broadcast does, just as all the other rebroadcasts are the same when we're working either the EML or the NA League or even the APL. Just because, well, the primary broadcast will be running either out of the Copenhagen studio or the Nerd Street studio or is it Rec? Fortress, is it, over in Australia? I forgot the name of the one company that does it. I think it's Raw. It's Mannix company, isn't it?
You're asking the wrong person, Parker. I exclusively watch OCE through Tom J. Sherlock clips on Twitter.
He streamed for 24 hours the other day.
I know, right?
Tom J. Sherlock is a nice guy, and what I'm about to say, I know that to most people this is going to sound like an insult, but I know that if Tom hears this, he's going to take it as a compliment. Tom has no regard for his life. Tom is solely interested in being a non-stop content machine, and that is his life. That is where his focus is. All around, just an incredible guy, especially if you meet him in real life, but boy, oh boy, does that man, he really puts in the work when he streams. So I enjoy watching him. Obviously, we can't watch him when we're casting the matches, but as much as I don't really watch Twitch streams these days, he's always an enjoyable view, so credit to Tom J. Sherlock for all the co-streams he does. And frankly, not just him, but all the other co-streamers too. They really do bring this community to life. If you don't feel like watching the main broadcast, it's always maybe a little comfier to watch it with somebody like Fett or Mint or Tom J. Sherlock, etc. Just as I name a couple of them. We've got everybody back in the lobby. This is cause for celebration. W's in the chat, please. And off to the races we will go. We are still on map 1, NIP. Currently in the lead. It is their map choice, so that is a good position to be in, but there is still possibility for FaZe Clan to come back and win it.
And so when we have a rehost of the lobby, as we just did, the previous round gets completely erased. There is no restrictions on what can happen in the round once you remake it. And because of that, NIP have actually changed their mind on what bomb site they want to defend. They had initially selected the basement bomb site, and I'd said, you know what, maybe we can see a plant from FaZe Clan, but they're going to swap things up. They're going to go to the top floor instead, which is another bomb site that they were unsuccessful in holding. Of course, they lost rounds 7 and 8, both in the basement and up above, but maybe going to feel a little bit more confident on a defense like this. They've changed up a few important operators on their lineup, most notably bringing in the Clash on the side of Wizard. I think Clash can be an exceptionally strong operator on this bomb site. We've seen Nade from Furia play some really strong Clash rounds on this site, just over towards Janitor, over towards Stock. If that doesn't end up being where the push comes out, instead you sometimes see that Clash get rotated over towards Elevator and the Kanto wall, which is currently being opened up right now by Vidiking. I expect we might see a bit of that rotation come in soon, as that looks like where the push is coming, but now FaZe rotate over to the CEO side, so you don't want to be too hasty on these things.
I dare you to come closer. I dare.
There's that beachhead there for the defenders, as Wizard will be rocking the Clash. Every rehost, it moves the names around, and I rely so much on just like visual reference. I don't know if you do that, but Wizard used to be towards the left side, and Hates was on the far right, where Wizard is now, and Fantasy was on the very far left, and
I believe it's based on the order they join the lobby, so it's always going to be shuffled around when there's a rehost, unfortunately. But I also find that frustrating.
thank you.
I feel your pain.
Thank you for sharing in my misery.
90 seconds in, Parker, and there hasn't been a whole lot of work done other than these Flores drones coming through. Wizard is not really finding a whole lot over here either, just checking outside of Stock, and you got to start thinking if you're FaZe Clan, well, where's the go button, right? At what point is this going to start getting kind of crazy? Cyber and Hates are actually very close towards the bottom of square, but Cyber finds Fantasy instead for the opening pick. Could prompt Hates to make a move. Again, he's just below Cyber's feet, but at the moment, Hates is just biding his time, playing this very cautiously.
I mean, not ideal for Nip to lose the first pick, but this is territory they have been on before and been in before. This Clash can count as 2 operators. The Shield is 1 operator, the Clash is another. Cyber already off to a great start. That's what you like to see from FaZe Clan. We're about to hit the 30-second mark. 9 players still alive. Make that 8. Nip gets on the board. Down goes Souls. Vidaking will join shortly thereafter. And a bit of sloppiness on the Cyber, but Hate still gets the down all the same. Not before FaZe can find 2 quick kills of their own. Andy now suffering through it. Walking up to the bomb chassis, finding a bit of salvation as now KDS will take up space in front of him with Diffuser in his hands. Handy watching over top. A single bullet will fell Handy, and there we go. Wizard gets him down. KDS pulling off the successful plant. The Clashes run outside. Hates aiming for a distraction. KDS will now have time to get the Dokkaebi of Handy up as Wizard will have his hands full with this FaZe Clan. Nip had an opportunity to go to match point, but it sure looks like we're going to go the distance. Unless Wizard can pull off quite the clutch. We'll take an act of magic. KDS and Handy both on the same HP. A single bullet from that SMG will fell them, but now outside on an upside down repel with the clock continuing to tick away. No chance that Wizard emerges from this successful. It will come to pass. FaZe Clan picking him off. A great post plant as they assert themselves. Prevent a retake from Nip as they were all stacked up by square stairs, spiral or square skylight. And that'll be it on that round. FaZe Clan are just an unshakable team, and we've got all 12 rounds of regulation ahead of us. Winner of this round goes to match point.
It's honestly a cool little push coming through from FaZe Clan. It was very much mostly focused on the square side of the map. You had Cyber up there. You had a couple players pushing towards Stock. I know Souls was that side of the map. Vidaking as well. You had a lot of pressure over towards CEO, over towards top square. But the one player that was not with the rest of the team was Handy. Slowly, he lurked up the lobby stairs. He got kind of a pinch going on that side of the map. And KDS was the one with the defuse kit. Rare to see him playing the objective, but he was the one that had it swung into CEO window. And instead of grouping up with his teammates over towards square, who were frankly not having a good time, being pinched by a castle down below, being stared at by a Clash, he just said, screw it. I'm going to back off a little bit. I'm going to go play with Handy, who has actually found a lot of success taking down, I believe it was Pino on the Echo over towards the lobby side. Ended up with 2 kind of separate fights on the map. The square side was won by NIP. The lobby side was won by FaZe Clan, but all you need is one of those sides. As long as you're able to get the plant down, put the diffuser on the ground, that's going to be exactly what you need. Nice objective focus from FaZe Clan. We were waiting to see that happen. We were looking for their first plant, and they'll get it in round number 10.
Back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. These teams will go almost identical round swaps and victors in the second half as we saw in the first. Nip won rounds 1 and 2. FaZe won the first 2 rounds of the second half. Then they swap. FaZe wins round 3. Nip wins round 9. And we swap right back. If this is the case, we will go to OT. FaZe Clan will take 4 of these rounds on this second half, if that's the case. And then, of course, we will need extra innings to settle this. I suppose, just as we saw in matches across all regions and even earlier in the W7M Furia game in map number 1, the competitiveness of FaZe on Nip's map is not particularly ideal for Nip's long-term strategies here. If Nip are unable to win this, things are going to get real grim going to FaZe's pick of Consulate next. And well, Nip on a very critical round. They could potentially give up match point to FaZe Clan. They've lost cons on the side of the Ninjas.
And they'll lose Fantasy as well. Big pick from Souls on the Habana is going to make this roam game just fall to pieces. Pino is the last player who's really in an aggressive spot. He's just the top of server stairs, though, playing the SAS operator with the shotgun. So you've got yourself into a bit of a hole now, NIP. That roam clear was perfect from FaZe. That's a good aggressive move from Pino. Starts to equalize things, and frankly, it could be good for 1 or 2 more. He's playing server stairs, Parker. This is a power position. Souls should be able to get the hatch open at some point, which provides a second dimension to try to clear out Pino. But until that happens, Pino is a devastating threat that they need to find some way around. Wizard looking for picks as well, top of main stairs. The time also a big threat. 45 seconds left for FaZe Clan to find an angle.
Flashes will go now as Pino watches the top of blue stairs, hunted down by that death mark, slaughtered by Souls. FaZe Clan just a running riot at the moment. You've still got the yokais up of Wizard, or at least you hope that that's the case. As now Hates is prone and watches the Deimos drop. He lets his teammate die. He watches Cyber drop. Cyber slaughters Wizard. And Hates shows a bit of reluctance to engage, but the fate will be the same for him. My goodness, Cyber, Mr. Second Half at the moment, making up for lost time. And the slow start that he had through the first 4 rounds, make no mistake, he is a tremendous player and he will not be held off the score sheet for that long again. FaZe Clan move to map point on Nip's map.
Devastating spot to be in if you're NIP. Cyber just really ran rampant on the top floor, able to get that entry pick. It was a critical one playing on that Deimos. You clear out Cons, who was on the top floor. It wasn't initially a top floor roam from Cons. He crept up the main stairs, hoping that he would be able to catch off guard Cyber. It was kind of interesting with the death marks in that round. Cyber's initial track went on to Hates, who was playing open area. And so you might think, okay, well, he's tracking my teammate in open area. Maybe I can sneak up these main stairs and catch Cyber off guard. But Parker, many players across the globe have tried to catch Cyber off guard, and very few of them have been successful. He shuts that down for the opening pick. They also clean up Fantasy, who has yet to find a frag since the rehost. And without a man advantage, just didn't feel like NIP were able to hold on to that bomb site. Now they're in a deficit. They have to go to this open area site. The only site that they were able to win on the first set of rotations, and I guess that means it's the only site that they've been able to win, period, on the defensive side. A lot riding on this one. Consulate up next is not going to favor you. Maybe you'll get a favorable side start, but no matter what, you're going up against the world champions. You never want to go down 1-0 when you start your map pick.
Yeah, I mean, just go back to matchup number 1 and ask W7M how that turned out for them, right?
Yeah.
Attacker's objective is to defuse a bomb.
You ever notice that Nip's color scheme is exactly the same as the SA League's color scheme? Really makes you think, doesn't it?
What does it make you think about, Parker?
Well, it makes me think of the global cabal of ninjas who control every aspect of esports, and then the manufacturers of pajamas, big pajama, some would even say, going even further to extend their influence. Basically, that the SA League is bought and paid for by both ninjas and pajamas manufacturers. Isn't that crazy, Jesse?
Yeah, okay. I'm really looking at Fantasy for the one ninja that's going to have the biggest impact in this round. His Mozzie drone was honestly instrumental in helping them win their last open area defense. He's not really in a position to stop the push as it's being set up for at the moment. FaZe Clan have brought a ton of smokes. They brought the Glads and they brought Vidiking on the shield. This is likely going to be a very direct and potentially fast push through the bottom of square, trying to get their way into cafeteria. It'll be critical that Wizard can get a couple of picks if that does end up being the play. Top floor, I guess, is still an option, and if they do go this direction, Hates might be the one to find contact first.
And you will be correct! Not just with 1, but 2. FaZe Clan now looking like the only way out is through overtime, as Hates cannot be rebuffed from his position. Still hanging on upstairs inside of trading. KDS is hoping for the move. Hates is sitting on that hatch, though, and if that hatch is open, he can drop without anybody on FaZe being any the wiser.
The problem is he has the defuse kit, Parker. They have to clear him out, and they don't have really the util to do it. They've got a couple dimensions, and he finally does fall as he takes some body shots. So mission accomplished, I guess, but you're still extremely worried about the top floor. You don't know that it's fully cleared at this point. They've all fallen off of it. NIP will get to waste even more time for free, and you're really going to be sitting ducks outside the site. Goyo canisters start to get popped off now. NIP hoping to get some pick through the smoke, but Bazewar, I should say. NIP are giving him nothing.
I mean, this is a stalwart defense now from the ninjas. Don't have a lot of tools available on the side of FaZe, and not many that will have much of an impact on this bomb site either. Souls is desperate for somebody on Nip to make a move, but look at that. They are just so patient, so disciplined. All tucked into their various corners. Now FaZe will trickle into the bomb site over the next 30 seconds. Maybe barging their way in, but either way, it is a slaughter. Ninjas in pajamas cutting through this FaZe clan team. Souls emerging from electrical, but it's a flawless round for Nip if they get him, and they'll do just that. Not a single kill for FaZe with the match on the line. 2 more rounds needed now as we go into overtime.
Oh boy, Parker, this game couldn't be any closer, and it all gets here thanks to that massive 2K entry coming out from Hates. Playing just inside of stock, he's been the best defensive player in the South America League so far. A 1.75 defensive KDR from him. He's really come alive on this second half, and I think that's exactly what NIP were hoping to see out of him on the defense. Playing that Ella, and this is an operator who's really seen her pick rate skyrocket over the last, I would say, year or so. It's one of the top 5 operators Hates has been playing so far this stage, and I just think it all comes down to how good she is at countering shields. The Grismont obviously really effective at moving the shield out of the way so that you can get a shield if they are aggressing into you, but even if they aren't affected by that Ella mine, the rapid rate of fire from the Scorpion, the fact that you can hit fire around the shield, find an angle to the left or the right, has been extremely effective at stopping a lot of these Blitz and Blackbeard players that we've seen throughout the SAL league and throughout other leagues around the world too. It's honestly been really fun to see Ella creep her way back into the meta, despite the fact that she didn't really get any massive buffs to help this along. It's just been a response to the rise in shield play that has been so prevalent over the last 2 years.
FaZe Clan, one of the OG teams that rocked those shields way back in the day, and it's nice to see them still matching up to the meta. I've referred to them as meta breakers before because FaZe Clan really do not march with the beat of everybody else's drums. They make their own pace, they make their own luck, they make their own meta. Obviously with the Blitz, or with the Monty band, Blitz is an option, Blackbeard an option too, but FaZe goes with things that are a bit more routine. For a long period of time, they were also one of the only teams reliably running the 2 recruits. Striker in particular being a staple on attack for them. He's still an operator that is in their wheelhouse, but admittedly not as often as we used to see. Things do change. New operators present themselves. Nip has been loving this Clash-heavy lineup, bringing the Tube around most rounds, bringing a Clash most rounds. You can keep walls closed. You can find the location of your opponents, and you can slow them down. And speed is the name of the game. Nip will be able to make you stumble with multiple operators.
Very odd to not see them go open area, because that was the only bomb site they won in regulation. They're going to go top floor, Parker, and this is the bomb site that they went 0 for 2 on, so bit of a bold choice, to be honest with you, but presents some new challenges for FaZe Clan to deal with. Already this top square push is going about as it did previously, with Cyber retaking his position on the Deimos, stared at by Wizard on the Clash. This is very similar to what we saw previously in Fantasy, a really long angle. He doesn't hit the shot, but Cons will. That's the SMG-11 to find ahead of Cyber.
Nip starting to warm up right when you need them. They've had a tenuous grasp on this match, despite it being their home soil. They've had some serious struggles. FaZe Clan getting knocked over with every engagement. It's Fantasy who's collecting these kills. Souls on the board, so FaZe Clan does have some life in them, but they are running out of time and they are running out of bodies to throw at this problem. Right now, FaZe Clan will continue their assault over towards Skylight. A nice shot by Souls, and he'll make it a triple, baby! A quad to be had, firing away in the smoke, doing serious damage to Hates, but Nip endures for the time being. They'll have to thwart Vidaking. Down goes Handy. 1 pick for Ninjas in Pajamas. Vidaking bails off. Souls with the quad, looking for them all. Him and Vidaking in the shootout for it. Pino says no ace to be had, firing away. Surely FaZe Clan still win the round, though. Yes, they will. Vidaking stands tall. A huge play from FaZe. And it's the captain and the leader of the team to get the final pick to push FaZe Clan to match point.
And that is a ridiculous set of events to come through. Soul's not the guy you often expect to see popping off at the top of the scoreboard for FaZe, but he's the one who shines the brightest today. Massive 1v1 from Vidaking to follow that up, and I really think Souls has just given life back to FaZe Clan, leading 7-6 on their on their opponent's map pick. And let me tell you, Parker, the performance of Souls has been a huge bellwether for FaZe Clan's success as a team as a whole. For the last 22 maps in the South America League, every time FaZe Clan have played a game, if Souls has finished the match with a positive EPS, FaZe Clan have won the map. If Souls has had a negative EPS that is under 100 EPS, FaZe Clan have lost the map. That goes all the way back to stage 1 here in their domestic competitions. Souls, maybe not the biggest fragger on FaZe, but always seems to be performing and always seems to be the guy you can look at to tell, okay, is this going to go well or not? With that 4K, Souls will jump up to be the highest rated player, the biggest EPS in the server. If somehow FaZe Clan lose this, it'll break a 22 map streak where Souls has always defined who wins and who loses.
God, the countless green rooms that we sat in having to listen to our good friend Harry demo, for those that don't know his real name, glaze Souls. Fine, I'll use the word glaze. Just constantly, oh, best support player in the world, most consistent player in the world, etc. Look, Harry, I love you. And there were times where I wouldn't actually disagree with that assessment. But I just have such like a visceral reaction when people talk about how good Souls is, because it always just reminds me of having to hear him talk about it over and over and over again. Kind of like you talking about Connor McDavid. Just fills me with rage and anger.
Race of all time.
Okay, see exactly what I'm talking about. Soul is so consistent, though. A valiant effort from everybody on this team, and now Souls will get to defend. We'll see what he can do as a support player with those gas canisters in pocket. KDS, a very frontward attack here from Nip as they chase off the defender. But Handy is still there for backup, and he's yet to be droned. Nope, the jig is up. But he's hanging on, Jesse.
Yeah, commits the Goyo to this. I can't imagine he takes a gunfight, especially if he hears the shield of Khans walking his direction. The second he sees this, he'll be out the hatch, and there he goes, safely retreating back to the site. I like this. You know, the couple times we've seen FaZe Clan defend this bomb site, they've gone for pretty roam-heavy strategies. They've lost a lot of bodies on this mid-floor, and it's never really gone well for them, Parker. They've really struggled to defend this bomb site. Now they're going to find all 5 players alive in sight. We're going to have a chaotic 5v5 execute in the dying 30 seconds of this round, and you have to imagine that favors FaZe Clan. 2 Nitro Cells being held by Vidaking and Cyber, 3 Toxic Babes in the pocket of Souls. You're going to have these Goyo canisters, which might get popped by the fuse, might not. It's really anybody's guess. Plus long-range guns being held as well. This is a really good opportunity for FaZe Clan to lock down the game. NIP desperate to find some kind of an opening pick, but they are being nothing with less than 60 seconds to go.
Yeah, I think your assessment and your read is absolutely correct, but at the same time, this is good timing from Nip. They've been able to pick away at most of these Goyo canisters, expending a lot of this utility stacked up by FaZe Clan. You've still got 2 gas canisters left with 30 seconds on the clock, so you're not going to be able to wait all of it out. So where do you go? You're going to have to hot drop right into the middle of the bomb site, and this is a very onerous task. Khan's finding some protection in the corner. Senzwall's blocking line of sight. KDS attempting to swing out. He finds it, gets the kill, as does Handy. Diffuser gets planted, though, so the job for FaZe gets eminently more difficult. A 4v3 favoring FaZe for the time being, but they will have to deal with these 3 players of Nip who now have top floor control. The retake will be had. That looks like a double up from FaZe Clan. Pino has his work cut out for him. Down goes Handy. FaZe suffering through this. Nip locking them out. It was a bit too slow to retake the site. Nitro Cell goes up. A great read by Pino to shut it down. Nobody on the case. And FaZe Clan get devoured by Nip. What a read by Ninjas in Pyjamas. Jesse, you said all the things working for FaZe Clan. You talked about how many things were going right for FaZe. And then I step in and address the fact that Nip is beating the clock. Despite that, the 2 gas canisters proved to be too much of an obstacle for them to overcome. So what does Nip do? They go upstairs. They take hatch control. They use the Sens wall. So effectively, the fuse gets down, gets diffuser off right in the nick of time. And then they end up locking out FaZe for the remainder of the round. Excellent stuff from Nip.
It's unfortunate they can't get that plant denied. The smoke is just a little bit too late, and there's still so many resources. 2 nitro cells in their pockets didn't get tossed out until the plant was over. An impact still in the pocket didn't get tossed out until the plant was over. The last toxic babe even not going out until it was too late for the plant to come through. KDS was desperately trying to stop the plant, sprinting through his teammate's smoke to stop the guy putting the defuse kit on the ground, but it was too little too late. He ended up getting downed by those toxic babes and finished off by the opponents. It was a real blunder by FaZe Clan. They had everything going for them, but they found the gap on the side of NIP. The Sens wall was honestly critical coming through from Wizard. Really well placed to not allow FaZe Clan to know where the plant was going down. It's really awkward when that happens because you just kind of have to guess where you're going to toss those nitros, where you're going to toss those toxic babes, where might that plant be going down. And I think in the chaos, they just didn't quite catch that. A disappointing one to lose if you're FaZe, and now you've got to do it on the offensive side. Open area, I have to imagine, would be the choice. Indeed, that does get confirmed by NIP. They are avoiding the basement at all costs, as it's been extremely attacker-sided so far today. Trying to play open, successfully defending this both times they went here. What are FaZe Clan going to do to finally find an opening to this site? Well, we're going to rely on Handy with the Blackbeard doing everything he can for the first time on this site, bringing the operator.
Throwing frag grenade!
Sets us up very well for the second map, by the way. Consulate is on deck no matter what. Clubhouse will be the tiebreaker if it's needed. Honestly, with the way this map has gone, I have some thoughts that might be at odds with one another. Nip being able to rise up against a historical team like FaZe Clan, very good. Though it is Nip's map, they shouldn't be in round 15. They should have cleared this without going to overtime. Alas, that's where they are at right now. They lose Hates. So FaZe Clan now with a golden opportunity to take this map away from Ninjas in Pyjamas. Pons almost lost his life just a couple seconds ago too, Jesse, as he takes quite a serious bit of damage. Now he will duel with Cyber and walk away with the win. But the Blackbeard of Handy was there. A bit confusing that FaZe let Cons slip through their fingers.
90 seconds left. Handy starts to make his way in towards Tellers. There is a player in here. Got to watch out for this. Backs off, so you're not going to get into an initial engagement. Fantasy still in the basement. Watch out for that potential flank late round. Could go main stairs, could go up the blue stairs as well. King's still top floor, so you got to be wondering where is he going to bring this defuse kit. Stock hatch would be traditional, but if they don't have the control, he could drop down into admin instead. Could just rotate square. Lots of options still for the attackers. And they get a big loss as Pino finds Handy in the midst of this round before the push can even begin.
There go the smokes. FaZe Clan now on their heels. A drop in. Khan still living in the midst of the smoke. KDS will take him out, trying to get out of the bomb site. He does not clear. King drops in, though, and will have to do it all by himself. Fantasy and Pino, last man standing. Fantasy now compelled into action as it's King and him in a 1v1. Souls unreachable at this point in time. Inside a small office, King playing the bomb chassis. Fantasy will hear that. Creeping out, Nitro Cell will go, and King saves the day! At the last second, FaZe snipe the map away from Nip and go up 1-0 onto their own map. What can agree upon?
You know, in the spirit of Canadian Thanksgiving, I will agree. I will agree today. I will broker a peace.
That's very kind of you. Very, very kind of you. And I will now give thanks to you for being oh so nice. Consulate is upon us. Jesse, operator bands coming in. No Monty will be available. Azami also taken off of the board. Feel free to give your thoughts before the next two are locked in. Will this be a Ying ban? Potentially Blackbeard? Will it be a Kaid ban? We're looking at Warden and Deimos. All right.
I really liked when you said give your thoughts before the next two, and then you didn't let me give any thoughts before the next two.
Yeah, that was the joke.
I was about to predict a Deimos and Warden 100% guaranteed to come through for this. Again, it's really hard without any data on FaZe Clan to know what they like to play on this map. So NIP, I think, just kind of shooting in the dark, hoping that there might be some demos and Monty play that were in the plans for FaZe Clan. Certainly popular operators that we see them play quite a bit. Vidaking on that Monty in particular, something that we know that they are fond of. For FaZe Clan, they'll take away the Azami. That's going to be pretty targeted towards Fantasy. On this top floor in particular, Fantasy really likes rocking the Azami. So removing that away from him might make him a little bit weaker on this first half when you're playing on the defense. He was the best player for NIP throughout the group stage, but in that first map, the desk highlighted it, he really did not show up to the standard that we were wanting. Lowest rated player on NIP on Banks. So we're hoping to see a bounce back game for Fantasy. It will have to be without the Azami. Warden, a rare operator relatively on this map, but we see it from Cons every now and again. We see it from Pino as well.
Jesse, you might need to give me a couple seconds. My cat decided to walk into the office and then close the door, so I'm assuming he's got a big business meeting for me here, but that's where you were supposed to take over because I was gonna, that was a whole part of the bit, but then you didn't do it, which is terrific. Thank you for following up on that one.
You ended with a but. What do you mean I'm supposed to jump in?
Oh, here we go with the ... again. When I go so ... thoughts trail off.
This one's not on me. You end with a but. I'm waiting for your response.
I can sit here and not talk all day.
And you lose the game of chicken, just as I suspected.
Damn it!
These Surya gates are going to be a real problem for FaZe Clan to try to get past Fantasy. Despite not having the Azami, has other ways of keeping you from walking through these doorways. Admin side take this time around, which has been, I would say, the more popular of the two takes that you tend to see on this map, rather than going CEO side and trying to get a plant in just through the window. The Blackbeard, the Sens, the Capitao, they've got so many good tools to make this work. The idea of the Sens is to block off the sight line so that you don't have to fight both the players at the top of Spiral and also coming around the meeting side of the map all together. Expect Cyber to toss that Sens wall either through the door or maybe even just through the drone hole, which can give them a lot of opportunities. Pressure towards Spiral as well. It's going to make this a bit tight for NIP as the angles start to enclose around them.
First pick conversion was mostly successful. 2/3 of all the opening picks resulted in a 1 round in the previous map. Now things change map by map. Consulate, unlike Bank, is a defender-sided map, so expect the defenders to have an immediate leg up. That will help Nip, who get the first pick, but then immediately trade it back. So they get that opening kill, but it doesn't really accomplish all that much, especially as there'd been a utility dump from KDS. FaZe marching their way towards this bomb site, Jesse, with 50 seconds, now 45 seconds on the clock.
Lots of util from FaZe too. Still 2 of those firebolts. Those are going to be thrown right towards Pino. He's about to burn alive. His soul's going to get that through the cafeteria gap. There it goes. Does it spread enough to force him into the waiting arms of Handy? Well, Vidaking will take it instead. Now this opens things up for a plant.
3v3. Everybody taking some damage at this moment except for Cons, who sits at full HP. Andy looking for an opportunity to get Diffuser down. Maybe a window's been had as Hates creeps up, but they just keep getting fed into this FaZe machine. Cons engaging though, and he's turned it into a 1v1. Handy was not able to get the Diffuser down, Jesse. He'll go hunting for frags, and Cons will play keep away. How on earth did FaZe fail at that attempt? It seemed like everything was working in their favor. That's when you just gotta win. Nip will take round number 1.
Parker, that's an issue in trust and nothing else. Handy 1000% should have had a plant there. There was really every angle in the world was being watched for him. You know, he had both Cyber and Vidaking playing the Overwatch, making sure that he was going to be safe to put that on the ground. There was a player pushing up. Hates was threatening to stop that plant, but the coverage was good. Vidaking stopped him from doing just that. Cons was across the map. Handy had the opportunity to finish, but he pulls off. He doesn't trust in his teammates to watch for him, and that ends up biting him in the end. That was such a beautiful push from FaZe Clan right up until the last moment. It felt like every attacking operator got value out of their kit. The Capitao bolt to get space in towards the breach, right? Being able to force out the smoke. Good sends walls coming out. We saw massive pings being played out by the Grim. Every bit of utility that FaZe Clan brought was working their way. And then Handy just doesn't stick it in the end. I think the nerves of this situation, Parker, maybe getting to them a little bit. Yes, maybe it's their map pick. Maybe they're up 1-0 in the series, but it's still a game for the major at the end of the day. It matters a lot that you can close out this game.
These two teams so evenly matched, even though they didn't sit side by side in the standings. I've liked this resurgence of the NIP team and the staying power of FaZe. It provides a familiar face with a new foe for most of these viewers. After Bank went all 15 rounds, there must be some fatigue that's starting to set in here on these teams. Still middle of the day, though, in Brazil. Getting closer to the evening hour, but we are in no jeopardy of this being a late day for the players. So I'm assuming they will be quite well rested, and they all seem to be in pretty good spirits. All of these teams now competing side by side in team houses or team facilities, as is pretty commonplace in Brazil. Overall, the numbers looked really good for NIP in that first round. The clutch, the opening pick, everything. Cons was terrific. Not just clutching the 1v3, but also get that opening pick. A terrific performance for most players, but Cons is a name that doesn't come up all that often for Ninjas in Pyjamas. With the players that they have on the team, stands to reason, especially with Hates and Fantasy sucking up a lot of the air. More performances like that from Cons, and NIP will continue to ride this high.
Handy had the defuse kit round 1. Cyber will have it here, but that allows Handy to start fragging. He takes down Wizard on the top floor. Not really a top floor clear, but as they're getting these kills, it might turn into one. They wanted to just watch for it to stop the plant, but that's going to be a big problem. Cyber and Vidaking go down on that mid floor right as Handy falls, leaving Souls and KDS in the 2v3. They don't have good top floor control. It's still being held by Pino and Hates. KDS all alone up here is hunting for these players, but he has no clue where they're at. You can't imagine it's going to go so well for him. Souls might get a vert pick. That could be huge, but they still don't have the defuse kit. It's being watched very heavily by Cons just playing in the lobby.
It's a familiar predicament that FaZe found themselves in. Cons still upright, finding 1 kill so far this round. He can stat pad if he wants. Another 3K, perhaps. Which player says no to that? There's another for Cons as he finds a double. This cannot be slowed down at this point. Now it's KDS under fire from Hates, and Cons finds himself in a position where you'll have to clutch again, Jesse. KDS on limited HP, and Cons will now charge his way across the map. KDS falling off, missing a golden opportunity. I honestly think KDS could have stuck that, but the call was made for him to bail off of the plant, and now Cons will attempt to get him off of it yet again. And Cons wins the engagement. FaZe, what are you doing? 2 rounds in a row where Cons should not have been given an opportunity to flourish. They suffer the same fate in round 2 as they did in round 1. That has to be an emotional breaker of a round. 2-0 for NIP.
Back-to-back clutches from the captain of NIP. Cons, a brilliant couple of rounds to start things off on the defensive side of Consulate. This guy turned 24 just last week, and he's hoping to make it back to his first major since the Atlanta major back in, I think it was 2023. It's been a while since he and NIP have found success on the international stage, but now it looks like it's all coming together. Brilliant couple of defensive rounds coming through from him. Wasn't finding a lot of successful clutches in the group stage, if we're being brutally honest, only winning 10% of his attempted clutches through the first 9 playdays of the league, but none of that matters. It was enough to get them into the top spot at playoffs. Now here in the upper semifinals up against FaZe Clan, it has made all the difference in the world. It's only 2-0. Things could still go sideways, and frankly, it's Consulate defense. You're kind of expecting more dominant round wins than that, but at the end of the day, 2 wins is 2 wins, and NIP should be feeling really ecstatic. 6-0 is the stat line of their captain.
Talk about a great start for NIP, but talk about a great start for Cons. Only player on Nip yet to die as he's clutched 2 rounds in a row. Sustainability was something that we discussed with that W7M team when they did battle against Furia just in our earlier matchup a few maps ago. Cons clutching as Diffuse goes down 2 rounds in a row. Again, not really quite so sustainable. But even if Cons completely disappears and the rest of the team picks up the pace, Jesse, you are now 2 rounds closer because of that unpredictable finish that was caused by a player of yours. So hats off to Cons for the damage that he's done to FaZe at this point in time. I'm sure he's firmly embedded under their skin. FaZe will have to dig him out. Can't focus too much on it, though. There is a job to be done. And with this being FaZe's map, that means Nip gets to choose which side they start on, which side FaZe starts on. The presumption is that Nip should run up the score here. Realistically, this could be a 2-0 for FaZe Clan, but the scoreline says that's not the case. FaZe will start off this round strongly with a pick immediately answered back by Pino, so the advantage now lost and back to a 4v4. These 2 teams will go.
Fantasy was roaming top floor with Hates. It kind of leaves the Ella all alone. Very strange map control being held right now from FaZe Clan. KDS has lurked his way to bottom spiral, but he's on a cam and he gets slammed by a wizard. Great sight play coming through. Now he goes back down to the bottom floor where there's more action coming down. They've managed to work their way into electrical. Both Vidaking and Souls are playing here with the Blackbeard and Ace. Handy just 1 floor above. They don't have a whole lot of angles to work with, Parker. They're really worried about a flank, which I think is likely to come through. And now they lose their Overwatch. Souls dying means Vidaking is totally alone.
Just continue going from bad to worse here. And at what point does FaZe Clan decide to call their timeout? Certainly not the start that they were looking for, Jesse. There goes Vidaking. Handy almost joins, and there's Pino to get the job done. Individual performances from Nip have been great. The structure from Nip has been excellent. They've been choking out whatever offense that FaZe is mustering through that early to mid round. But again, 2 of those 3 rounds were won by a single player's improbable clutches against a team that overpowered and outnumbered them. Nip now finds themselves in a great spot. Map 3 getting more and more likely the longer we go into Consulate. I don't know if this Brava and Fenrir ban will make much of a difference, but this timeout should. And FaZe Clan realize after 2 dropped rounds and 1 that they lost wholesale, it's time to talk to the coach.
Yeah, you get the ship back on the right course, I think, at this point. Not exactly what you were expecting from the start of this game. There are a lot of positives still from FaZe Clan's rounds, I think. You know, that top floor attack that came in through admin was looking really good right up until it wasn't. Even their attack onto that main floor, they had a great couple of kills up above. Maybe they didn't have as much success holding on to the defuse kit lobby side, but it felt like they should have been able to wrap up that one too. You lose the split site, it is what it is. You're not going to be able to run that one back until round 6, but I think keeping the mental up is important here. You're still FaZe Clan. You're still the world champions. You're still in a spot where you lead in the series overall 1-0 up. And this is still Consulate. Many would tell you it's a top 2 defender-sided map. I think everybody would tell you it's one of the 2 most defender-sided maps that you have alongside Skyscraper here in Rainbow Six. So it's not the end of the world if you're struggling on your attacks, but even still, you've got to be able to get 1 or 2 rounds. Give yourself a little bit of life, a little bit of breathing room when you do swap to your own defensive side. NIP should struggle on the attacks. They are, again, the best defensive team in the South America League. They've been relatively average on their attacking side, so they're mortal when the side swap comes, but you need to be able to get yourself a little bit of breathing room. 1 or 2 rounds could be all that it takes.
I've seen teams get into this position before, Jesse, where, to your point, it only takes a couple rounds to get back in this. A 4-2 half for Nip, where FaZe Clan wins their first 2 defenses, and we are right back where we started at even footing, 4-4. The way these teams matched up on map number 1, I expect overtime here. Nip running away with this map over FaZe Clan is something that I certainly don't find likely, but I also didn't see rounds 1 and 2 happening and unfolding the way that they did. We remain to be surprised, and it remains to be seen if FaZe Clan will have the energy to keep this one close, but you don't get to this level that either of these teams get to. FaZe Clan in particular, battling the best of the best at just about every single international event over the last number of years without digging yourself out of holes even deeper than this. Round 4 might have already gotten away from them, though. Cyber dies, that's your buck down. All of your soft destruction now will be in the hands of the Ram, and KDS is deciding to contest with Hates. That's a 50-50 gunfight. You lose that, there goes all your soft destruction, and FaZe finds himself in a 2-player hole.
Cyber was attempting to walk down the Visa stairs into the basement, and he got fried by a Wizard. Another frying happens by Con. 7-0 to start this game, takes out KDS. It's going from bad to worse. Attack timeout has not proved fruitful, and NIP are about to win their 4th bomb site on Consulate. They force Cons out with a nice little flashbang. He's going to have to retreat. There are still so many roamers to worry about, Parker. You've got Hates on the top floor playing along with Fantasy. They seem to be aware of this, but it doesn't make it any less threatening. You've got lots of time on the clock, and you've still got the diffuser, but you need to make a choice. Are you committing to go into the basement? Are you ignoring these roamers, or will you try to hunt them down? Just given what they've got right now, Parker, I think they have to head to the basement, and they will agree with that assessment.
Good attacking team going up against a good defending team on a good defender map, even if it's not Nip's pick. I mean, they're letting the map do most of the work for them. 2 kills, the top of the 3 remaining players on FaZe. So offense has been a big issue. Cyber was the first casualty for FaZe, and he has the most kills on the team, rightfully so in his role. But right now, everybody from Nip except Fantasy is getting on the board. Cons has survived all 3 rounds at this point. He has yet to die since we loaded into this map. What will come of him this time around? I mean, it really does speak to the inefficiency of FaZe closing out these rounds. Fantasy searching for kill number 1. A quick snap on over to Handy. He's got Hates for backup as they now just continue to loop around. There goes Souls. A flawless round for Nip, very much in the cards. Vidaking shreds Hates, though, immediately turns his attention to the other red ping, but there's been a fade away. That hatch opened up, and now the Deagle is out. Multiple eyes looking in the direction of Vidaking. He's got Fantasy on the run. All this time being done with 10 seconds left on the clock. There's no hope for FaZe to recover whatsoever, and the timeout has no impact at all. It might have even helped Nip as they put on one of their most dominant rounds after FaZe have called their timeout. A 4-0 start for Nip. If they had won just a single extra round on bank, Nip would be 3 rounds away from advancing here in the playoffs. But no, instead, they're in a 1-map hole. But if they can get Consulate in the books quickly, then they'll be in a great place to close this out in map 3.
NIP complete the world tour, winning every single bomb site on Consulate, 4-0, and that might be part of the problem, Parker. FaZe Clan took their tack time out, perhaps expecting to go back to that top floor, talking about what went wrong in the previous 3 bomb sites, but when a 4th bomb site comes your way, you might not be expecting it, and hard to adapt when you haven't seen what NIP like to play on that site, when you don't know what type of operators they want to be running. Definitely felt like on a lot of those entries, you know, there's no real team play coming forward. Cyber very solo entering into that bomb site, losing his opening gunfight to Wizard. Even Cons, yes, he gets flashed right after killing KDS, but there's no follow any problems. And the 3v5, I just don't think that's a realistic round for NIP to win then. Yes, you've got some logic bombs, but your players are somewhat disconnected. You've got to fight the roamers in a 1v2 top floor, then you've got to fight the site in a 2v3. It's 2 disadvantaged situations that you're in. NIP, they don't blunder that one. They will close that out, and again, 4-0 on the server. The fact that you played all bomb site now makes it awkward too, because that means every round going forward, you're going to have 2 options as to where you could go. They'll go top floor for round 5, but they just as easily could have gone for piano exposition.
Doesn't matter what bomb site they go to. I mean, FaZe Clan have shown very limited success. Again, though, rounds 1 and 2 probably could have and maybe should have gone FaZe's way. So at least you do show that you can be a bit formidable on that top floor bomb site and on the middle floor as well. But the first 4 sites all being different bomb sites just goes to show you Nip's flexibility on this map. So back upstairs where round 1 started, Nip got the opening pick. FaZe Clan very quickly took the upper hand and outnumbered Cons, put him in a position where he had to clutch out, and he did just that. And then he repeated that in round number 2. He's cooled off since then, and I mean, keep in mind, Cons is playing support roles. He's not the guy that you expect to be getting all these kills from Nip, yet he has still succeeded all the same.
That was off some big clutches, right? He's been relied upon in the late round after his frag-focused players end up dying, but when you call upon your captain and he answers, that's going to make everybody else start playing better around him too, and we've seen that through rounds 3 and 4. Now on the Clash is going to be committing to this vending hallway hold. Kind of surprised FaZe are going for the exact same push they tried in round 1. I guess it was quite successful, but NIP have sort of been the ones to adapt, expecting this admin side push. They committed a lot of resources to this side, bringing out these Banshees from Hates, the Mirror Windows from Wizards. Of course, Khan's just putting his body on this side of the map is going to make it really awkward to rush through it. We spent 2 minutes, Parker, and what type of map control do they have? Not much. Just admin and some play around the spiral hatch. That's going to be really tough to make things work. They've got their Sense Wall stills, and they've got their Capital Bolts, so let's see what they can do with it.
And now the shield goes down. Khan's taking matters into his own hands, but FaZe is crumbling yet again. I think he said a wet paper bag at one point. Yeah, they're being shredded. But hold on a second. Never mind. The guns all hitting their marks. Fantasy is last man standing on Nip. In the blink of an eye, this round has completely turned around. Fantasy taking isolated engagements. No way they clutch again, right? He has no intel on KDS. Around the wall, Fantasy sees him and wins it. What is in the water in Nip's side of things? Another clutch! Another clutch, Jesse! 3 in 5 rounds!
All right, man, let's just go next. GG's, it was a good try, FaZe Clan, but I don't know what's going on this map. You cannot close out a round to save your life. The 1v3 from Fantasy perfectly positioned himself inside of meeting. They had no clue where he was at. And then, frankly, he just hit some ridiculous shots. That second kill on Vidiking was so tight around the doorframe. And then KDS wallbanged in the end. There's nothing lucky about that. He knows where you're at, and he can predict exactly where that head ends up after swinging back around the corner. So well played by the Valkyrie player. And this is the vintage Fantasy we've come to expect, right? Maybe he didn't show up on map 1, but all through the group stage, he has been consistently performing for Ninjas in Pyjamas. 84 kills to just 74 deaths in the group stage. He was their top frag player by quite a bit over those first 9 play days, and now he's really starting to show up. Now he's starting to shine. You can tell that despite losing their own map pick, NIP believe in this victory.
Just a befuddling set of rounds here. They've got plot armor on the side of Nip. It just seems like the gods have come together. Everybody wants them to win. Everybody wants them to succeed, and succeed they are. I don't know if we had a tech pause or not. Did I miss something on my screen, by the way?
I didn't quite catch anything either.
It's been a bit of a long time on player cams, so...
The lobby was definitely paused. I don't know why. It sounds like it's back.
There have been a couple tech issues.
Bombs as they can.
I'm on guard. Banshee's AT camera feed up and running.
Again, Brazil is always a mystery to me, man.
What's important is we got through it together.
Not like a bad mystery, just I just don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Credit to our crew, by the way, who's working here on the English language rebroadcast. All these guys work tirelessly.
10 seconds left.
It's been nice to be able to put our voices to Brazil, too. It's a region that I've always loved since the very beginning of my tenure here in Rainbow Six. You know, I remember going to Sao Paulo, the very first finals I attended, hearing the roar of the crown, decking myself entirely in Black Dragons gear and going up on stage and bad-mouthing Penta before they became G2. Frankly, a high water mark of my career. Then watching ENCE win their first and only championship in what was a huge move. The story of some of those players, Wilkie, Shate, Kanto, all of them, really was quite an incredible moment. And I've liked the region ever since. I like the way that they play Siege, and watching their continued development to the dominant powerhouse that they are now has been quite wonderful. So always good to see this. It'll be good to see which of these two teams qualify for the Munich Major as well. That's what's stake in this matchup. Nip losing out on their own map by a nail biter. 1 round separating them from FaZe Clan, and boy oh boy, do you bet you wish they had a timeout to go back and change the result of that round, because if they do and they win 8-7, now they are in excellent position, or would be, to close this out 2-0. Instead, it looks like all paths to the major run through Clubhouse. Down goes Cons. FaZe finally getting something going, and now they're attempting to defuse. King in the midst of the smoke. Nobody's able to dislodge him from this position, so in the first minute of action and 9 players still alive, suddenly the round gets an awful lot shorter thanks to the makings of FaZe. Nip still with upstairs control, a very linear execute, but FaZe's guns are hitting very effectively. KDS with 3 kills, Handy with another, Hates the last one, and it sure looks like FaZe Clan will win their first round. I mean, we've seen a lot of clutches from Nip here, but certainly we're not going to see... No. Come on. Surely we're not going to see a 1v5 clutch, Jesse. No, we won't. KDS shuts him down. The timer getting very close to the end. FaZe managed to make the best out of a bad situation. The final round of the first half goes to FaZe, almost a 6-0 for Nip. Still, though, Nip favored to win this map.
Smiles on the face of KDS, though, and I think he's given his team just the slightest chance in this matchup. It's not going to be easy down 5-1, but you are going to the defensive side of Consulate. This is still your map pick, and that last round was quite dominant. A nice little rush play. You jump in with the blitz, you get that smoke plant down, no problem. KDS decided to enter in through the closet, and he was both the starter and finisher for FaZe Clan that round, making sure that he got that opening pick and then locked things down from start to finish with 4 huge kills to come through. Now the move on to the defensive side might not be so promising for KDS. He's actually got a ridiculous gap when you look at his attacking stats versus defending stats. KDS is a 149 KDR on the offense, but only a 0.78 on defense. So I'm not sure if he will be the guy that they rely on for these next 6 rounds, but he was the guy that got them their one and only offense. And so that might just be enough to start snowballing things now. Going to be important that you get the momentum back, that you can start to break the mental of NIP, you start to believe yourself that you can come back and win this game. We've got a real difference in experience. We touched on it in the last map, but FaZe Clan, world champions, NIP, a very young team, not a ton of experience on this squad. So if you start to get in their heads, there is a world where NIP start to choke it.
Attackers have discovered the location of a bomb. 10 seconds left.
Swapping legs.
Really tough to underscore how much closer this game has been than the stats would suggest. I know I sound like a broken record, but people are tuning in at different points in time. 3 of Nip's 5 rounds were won by the most improbable of clutches, 2 of them by Cons to start this map. Frankly, this could be a 4-2 game for FaZe Clan if a single kill in 3 separate rounds broke the other way. 2 of those rounds in particular, FaZe made the poor decision to pull off of the plant when they were about a second away from getting the defuse kit planted. Both of those rounds could have turned out differently if the case was on the ground, allowing FaZe to get into better position. But alas, what's done is done. Doesn't matter how they were won. The fact remains that Nip is significantly closer to the finish line because of issues with FaZe Clan. Not even necessarily the strength of Nip, though I don't want to take anything away from Cons and the way he was able to pull off those 2 rounds, but it wasn't all just him. When you win a 1v3 clutch, a lot of times you need an assist from your opponents, and boy oh boy did FaZe give them quite the assistance. So now we go to the second half. Operator bans are locked in. FaZe Clan on the better side of this map. Can they close this gap quickly?
Hates on the Blackbeard with the first one to enter into admin. He's going to take this control. A bit weird to see Hates on the shield instead of Cons, but if there's someone other than Cons who grabs it, it has historically been Hates. He's got about a 10% pick rate on Monty, or on Blackbeard, I should say. So we do see this from time to time. Likes to play these shields a bit more aggressively, kind of in the entry role rather than in a support role where you sometimes see the shield start to thrive. A third admin side take that we'll see on Consulate today is, again, NIP deciding this is going to be the better side to go for. Risky position from Vidiking. There's nobody currently down below to punish him, but Hates was rotating right there now. He's going to have to watch out for that in a couple of seconds. You know, a bit off-site on another angle, providing a second dimension to this push. The real focus is going to be coming in from admin, though. Pino is just a distraction.
Nitro Cell goes off. Nip on the board first, but it's traded back immediately. FaZe Clan quadrupling up on these players, and look at that. utter dominance by FaZe. As Fantasy finds himself by projector empty-handed, he beheads Handy. As another tucked into the corner, a pre-fire on the Souls. That's a thing of beauty for Nip. If Fantasy wins this 1v4 clutch, I'm just going to destroy my computer at that point in time because I'll have seen it all and I will be done casting. We're good. FaZe Clan, you know what's at stake here. Fantasy hears the sound over towards admin. It's just waiting, but he finds himself in a bit of an exposed position. Vidaking sweeping over to the right. Fantasy just not looking in the right direction. He's allowed him to go through. I mean, Fantasy playing this as tepidly as possible, but he had just had no intel. No intel and the sound seemingly betraying him. As that's a big round by FaZe Clan.
NT, good attempt, but in the end, the defense was just way too strong there. You had a lot of dimensions to that push, more than you usually see on Consulate. I said Pino was just a distraction. I didn't expect Souls to get both frags to open up that round. It was a brilliantly placed Nitro Cell to stop the initial swing in, and then immediately Souls was able to refocus towards meeting and find a second frag, taking down Hate. Really big stuff coming out from Souls, who had some big moments in our last map as well to really push FaZe Clan to the victory position. Could have been the easy one, right? You expect FaZe Clan to be able to walk away with that one. It's the strongest site on the map. We'll go basement next up. Really, all NIP needs to do is win the tertiary site twice, and then that will be a good enough result to win this in regulation and send us to a third map. But you're always looking to end things out sooner.
Whoa, reinforced! Sticking it!
Cannot let up. Nip has worked so hard and in the most uncertain ways has managed to put together a very formidable lead that FaZe Clan will now just need to continue to chip away at. You have to take it round by round by round, and that's exactly what FaZe will attempt to do. It's a bit of a goofy lineup here for FaZe Clan. Ella, Solus, and Alibi all together is an intriguing one, Jesse.
Yeah, Vidaking on the Alibi especially. Not really the guy you'd expect to see running around on the roam. Traditionally the hard anchor support player on FaZe Clan. Laxing on the desk likened him to Canadian, so maybe it is fitting that he's running around on a bit of an aggressive spot. If he dies, he can just IGL from the grave, I guess. They definitely want to play this forward if you're FaZe, and Cyber opens things up nicely. The shotgun with Solus is good enough. He doesn't get revealed, I guess, technically the operator, but still easily punished from Hades, comes back around to the doorway and does find him inside of Visa, so no problems trading that pick out, but the threats are far from gone. Still multiple players up on the top floor. KDS and Vidaking both lurking close together up inside of Tellers. Wizard and the rest of NIP have to be really careful with this. They got to make sure they drone these guys appropriately. Some tracks with the Deimos could be huge too. And the logic bomb from Hate's now being used to find these positions.
At least you got the Solus out from underneath you. You just need to worry about the other lurking operators, and FaZe Clan have a bevy of them. Now a swing in from Wizard as he tries to track down KDS. He's got information that he can feed to the rest of his team, but there is a tendency among some Deimos players to get tunnel visioned and only focus on the operator that you're looking down the barrel of, not the rest that can easily swamp you. And keep in mind, just as KDS was being tracked, he knows exactly where Wizard is. Second attempt on the death mark, and Handy will not just have the death mark follow him around, but also the logic bomb ringing off. He finds some salvation down below in the bomb site, some safety and security surrounded by his teammates. 1 minute left to go. 8 players still up in the lobby.
Odd to see FaZe Clan kind of give this up. It's only a 4v4, and they don't have amazing site utility. That'll be a big pick coming out from Wizard. I thought that they might get more aggressive, and so did he. Vidaking shut down on the Alibi. Now it's a man disadvantage as well. Where's Khan's at the moment? He's just inside of X position, so it's going to be a hatch drop attempt with the plant. Pino on smokes can try to help him out too, tossing those from yellow stairs. Great opportunity to go for the plant. This looks like it's all lining up for NIP except for that.
Yeah, I mean, FaZe just toppling Pino. Final death mark is now ringing. They were not able to find Handy for it. Down goes Khans. FaZe Clan putting together a great second half. Again, those rounds they let slip through their fingers in the first half might come back to haunt them if they lose this map, but they are doing just about everything in their power to prevent that. as they've now picked up 3 rounds in a row and reduced the gap to just 2. At what point does Nip try to settle things down? Because FaZe Clan are heating up and they're going to ride the better side for the remainder of regulation.
At some point, you start to get a little worried if you're NIP. Again, that one attacking round that FaZe Clan won, it's not very many, but could it have been enough? Starting to feel that way. Soul's 5-1 since the side swap, by the way. He has been exceptional these last 2 rounds. 2 kills on round 7, 3 kills on round 8. Just playing the anchor positions that his team relies on him to play. If Vidaking is going out and having a little adventure on the alibi, then you need the other support player on FaZe Clan to step up in the late round. I really did think NIP had a decent chance at making that execute work. They had good utility, they had good guns, they had good map control and good time, but a couple of those gunfights just went the way of FaZe Clan. They weren't big, aggressive flanks. They weren't massive moves with nitro cells, but it was little swings, and they all went the way of FaZe. That's going to be what you really have to watch out for if you're NIP. This FaZe Clan team is an incredibly talented squad mechanically. They're an incredibly smart team, too, and they'll go for cheeky things like spawn peaks, which is what Cyber will use to get the opening pick onto Fantasy, shut down the young gun, and untraded as he barely gets past the Visa window.
These are the types of starts to the round that FaZe Clan is going to need to have time and time again to set themselves up best for the mid to late round that Nip typically excels in. What a scoreline it's been for this map. 5 rounds, 1 in a row by Nip. FaZe have won 3 since. These teams very, very streaky. And big performances from players, not just Cons, but Souls having a good look. KDS getting a 4K as well. Nice shot by Cyber as he was prepared for Hates to march in through that Visa door. Cyber's hoping for another player to haphazardly vault in that window to Visa, but Nip have 2 minutes to go. They still have drones. They still have utility. I would hope that they aren't just face checking this.
Cyber's, even if he does get cleared at this point, Parker, he's gotten 2 kills. He's wasted so much time. Like, he is laughing at how much value he's given his team for this round. It looks like the push is going to pivot a little bit over towards Spiral. Cons with a fuse kit is still over on admin, so you have to imagine that this is where it's going to come from, but I'm looking at 3 Toxic Babes, 3 Nitro Cells, 5 guns. There is just so much for FaZe Clan to do to stop this push, and we're not even on the right side of the map yet, Parker. We've got to clear through the entire top floor. We've got to rotate down Spiral or Yellow. It's really up to you to take your pick, and there's mirror windows you're dealing with. They do have a lot of time, but it's critical they use this time to get some picks, to get an advantage, and all the info is favoring FaZe.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. They've got so much intel at this current point in time. Just really does go to show you the dominance that FaZe exhibits on this map. It could be a completely different ball game as well, as FaZe now tries to make up for lost time. Down goes Cons, and Nip has almost nothing going for them. Just walking in, dying, walking in, dying. FaZe very close to a flawless round here. All they need to do is get Wizard. A Nitro Cell will go off. Vidaking is found by Wizard, but Bullet Tracer's going in front of Striker's eyes, and Handy will finish it with a shotgun, losing just 1 player. 1 round separates these 2 teams. FaZe have come to play, and boy, oh boy, has Nip not prepared for it. Surely Nip calls their timeout here, right? Surely.
Yeah, they have to call attack at this point. I would be baffled if we didn't see one coming out. Operator bans must happen first, so we'll get to find our answer after that. But, I mean, it really does beg the question. You know, you go back to that first half. If NIP don't get those 3 clutches, the game is over at this point, Parker. NIP won 3 1vx clutches, which means this would be a 7-2 victory for FaZe Clan had those 3 clutches gone the other way. Definitely lots to talk about. You gave yourself a lifeline in the first half by winning those improbable rounds, but now you've got to do it on the attack, and they've not yet to find any real success. It's frustrating, too, the way they're losing these rounds. I mean, you can go back to round number 9, and it's hard to criticize because it's like, well, Cyber is rat spawn peeking you on the ground inside of the Visa door. That's annoying. Then he somehow barely makes it past your trade that's happening on the visa window. That's annoying. Then you're like, all right, well, at the very least, we know he went back to site. We watched him run up the visa stairs, but he immediately sprints to Spiral, sets up a cam that was in his pocket, which he could have died with, but instead provided big value late rounds, and goes back down to the first floor where he continues to be a nuisance. It's a really frustrating way to be losing these rounds. And for NIP, I think it's important that they calm this down. They've banned out Cyber's Valkyrie, so they've at least done a little bit of damage to him, but you've got to slow your roll a little bit. With FaZe Clan playing so aggressive, you've got to be really careful, cautiously checking every one of these corners and making sure that these aggressive plays don't go the enemy's way. Finding the entry and converting these advantages, going back to the basics, have to be what's on the table for NIP. They cannot lose sight of that goal.
It's the last time I'm going to mention it. Until the next time I mention it.
Attackers have discovered the location of a bomb.
But I mean, realistically, those first 2 rounds should not have been won by NIP.
10 seconds to go.
The improbable clutches. Errors committed by FaZe. Cons finding 6 of his 7 kills at the end of the second round, only able to muster a single kill from that point onward. It really does go to show you that NIP had a strong start, but it was not sustainable. And we're seeing it here now, how they are just not able to deal whatsoever with this FaZe Clan team. Cyber fighting a rappel? I mean, you can't shoot the rope. Could you imagine if that was a gameplay mechanic? You're rappelling up the building and then somebody comes out and shoots the rope and you just fall and die?
That's actually the next defender being added to the game. It's just a guy with scissors, and he can lean out the window and snip your grappling line so that you can't make it up when you fall down and get down.
Oh my goodness. The Rotero drones used to clear out objective and clear out gadgetry will not succeed as a Nitro cell is hooked up by FaZe Clan. Down goes Wizard. NIP continuing to lose these first bloods 3 in a row now by FaZe Clan. Cyber with 2 of them. That was a nice toss by Handy, who read it with the pulse, who's seen a resurgence because of that Reaper MK2 being added as the secondary. Now that pulse shotgun is very in vogue, and Handy can go right back onto that cardiac sensor to call for the rest of his team.
Even the one round where they didn't get the entry, you'll remember it was basically a 5v5 execute and a chaotic one at that. So anytime the entry has been separate from the execute, it's been all FaZe Clan. Every time they've been the ones to get aggressive, to take the initiative, and they haven't slowed down even after the attack timeout. Our 4th admin side push. CEO is an option, but these teams just feeling like it's not going to be successful despite the failures that both have had attacking from this side of the map. You've got all the classic components. The Blackbeard is here. The Capitao is here. Cyber, they seem to finally know of his position down below. Hates can even deathmark track him if he really wants to, but he's better off not giving up his own position. Nice patience will pay off, and he cleans up Cyber for the 4-on-4. Less than 60 seconds to go, though, Parker, and they've still got a Toxic Babe. They've still got Zoto canisters, and KDS is hunting for a pick still.
Bizarrely, this is one of the best looks we've seen for NIP in quite some rounds, and if they can immediately convert this tactical timeout in the right direction, then match point will be theirs. They find the pick on the KDS, but Cons is bleeding out and will now fall away. Scoreline shows a 4v3, but in reality it's a 3v3 until Cons gets picked up. Thankfully, somebody on NIP was in position to do just that, and now Souls avoiding gunfire, heading out to long desk, floating between these bomb sites. Vidaking baited in by the deathmark. Cons getting diffuser down at the halfway point now. There's no gas to slow him down. FaZe cannot muster a kill. Down goes Pino, down goes Cons. Vidakings will get traded out as well. Suddenly, it's a 2v2. But there's that cardiac sensor, and they've got the read on Fantasy. Andy and Souls will now look for this final pick. Fantasy continuing to circle around. There's the shotgun tearing strips through him. Handy looks for it. Hates gets a quad kill. Fantasy the exit frag. Ninjas in Pyjamas move to match point. It's been a great comeback from FaZe Clan, but the door has been slammed shut. NIP 1 round away from map 3.
And for me, Parker, the difference maker just comes down to the fact that they were able to shut down Cyber. They find him on the bottom floor. Hates gets that kill onto him, makes it a 4v4 execute. And from there, you know, it's not the cleanest round I've ever seen. You lose your Blackbeard. He's got to get picked up from a down but not out state. Thankfully, you get a couple of kills while you're working your way through the site. The Deathmark forces some of those FaZe players to back off, and you just get one of those standard default plants going down. A couple of critical kills go the way of FaZe Clan, and I think a couple other kills just get barely missed out on. In the end, it goes down to 2v2. I thought Handy played it really well, but Hates sure played it better. Some big moments coming out from him to step things up, break double digits, 10 and 8 now in this matchup.
Bomb located by attackers.
One of the best players that we have on NIP, very much a long-standing member of this squad, and now to see him shine the brightest, get his team up to match points. The job is not done, but it feels so much more doable than it did 5 minutes ago.
5 seconds to go.
A devastating map for FaZe Clan, and honestly, a lot of this is their mess of their own making. You give up that first or second round, it might seem like an eternity ago, but that will have such a profound impact and a deep impact on the results. FaZe are learning that one the hard way. Still, they are in a good spot. 2 more rounds to be won on the favorable side of Consulate. A map they chose because of their skill and their practice on it. If Nip can take yet another attacking round, should be just their second. All hats off. We'd have all our hats off. Words are hard, man. You know what I'm trying to say. Hats off to Nip for doing it, but we might have to turn our eyes towards Clubhouse sooner rather than later in what will be a 12 to 15 round shootout between these teams. One of them moving on to the major, the other one down to the lower bracket. A date with Los will be set for, I believe, the next match will be Friday.
Next week, and no matter what you think of Los as a team, lower bracket is always a terrifying prospect. FaZe Clan have brought the exact same op lineup to try to defend this bottom floor as they did over and around 8s. Been a little bit less aggressive, not fighting as much on this top floor, but that doesn't mean that they still couldn't. A couple of these players are still lurking around. Vidaking actually one of those players that was moving around quite a bit on that alibi. They've got Handy top floor. They've got KDS inside a lounge. Players all over the map, and it presents a really difficult problem. You still have 2 logic bombs and a couple death marks to work with. So NIP have tools to find these roamers, but it's all going to come down to who is overstepping their boundaries. Will FaZe Clan walk into an angle that's being held, or they walk into an angle where they find the back of someone's head?
Logic bombs will now go off. FaZe Clan's defenders known about their positions relatively quickly. Vidaking silences his gun first, and he's rewarded with a death mark. As Wizard looks to follow up on that. The death mark will be gone too. A tiny bit of damage done to Cyber, and with 50 seconds left, Nip need to bring the heat their direction. Andy taken out. Oh my, Cyber looking the wrong way. Things falling apart. Sloppiness for FaZe Clan, Jesse. This does not look like the team that won 4 in a row to get to this point. They're about to get swept out of their own map. They did it to Nip on bank. The same thing now unfolding. Their adversaries getting the last laugh. Clubhouse almost seemingly on deck, but Vidaking has something to say about that. FaZe still with some staying power. KDS losing a lot of HP, but upright all the same. Nip circling around to the bomb site. Vidaking collects his second. Really thriving on this alibi roll. Down goes KDS. A third for the King. A fourth. No! Wizard outduels him. And Souls will need to clutch. He's got the Deimos up against the wall. Diffuse Kit in the hands of Cons, and Wizard will just stand in this position. A 1v1, and it's a great walk away by Souls as he walks through the last attackers and preserves FaZe Clan's place in this map. All 12 rounds needed for these two. FaZe within 1 round of overtime.
You gotta be kidding me, man. FaZe Clan cannot lose these rounds. They're refusing to. Maybe it's a 5v3, but you're barreling down on 2 of the best anchors in the entire world, Souls and Vidaking. There's nobody else I'd rather have sitting on my bomb site in a man disadvantage. Vidaking's movements in that round in particular, ridiculously good. Every time NIP thought they had him pinned down, he rotates to a new spot. He finds a different angle to shoot you from, and he causes so much chaos in that push. It was a nightmare. I mean, the 2K that Pino got on the yellow stairs, Cyber, I guess he didn't have his headphones on that round. I'm not sure in what world he doesn't react to Pino's kill, but in the end, bailed out by the seasoned support duo. Souls and Vidaking looking so good in this game. And you got to imagine, Parker, if that's on land, Vidaking is standing up after that round.
Well, I mean, he stands up all the time to begin with, so I mean, it shouldn't really surprise anybody if he opts to stand up this time. It's been a stand-up performance for FaZe Clan through a lot of these rounds, and again, the scoreline is not an accurate reflection of the way that these teams have played. It doesn't matter. Sometimes the team that is worse on paper, and sometimes the team that doesn't play the best still ultimately wins. In a best of 3, it's far less likely, but it definitely happens. Here's an intriguing one, Jesse. Final match, or final round of regulation for this map. Hades will bring the Nook. Not that abnormal, but will bring the silenced shotgun, which is a bit strange, all things considered. Most players would love to bring that FMG.
Yeah, and you're combining it with Aurora from Cons, a Finka from Pino. If I didn't know better, Parker, I'd be expecting an explosive pseudo rush onto the site at some point. Might not be a technical rush, but I think this is going to be a very fast push right into the bomb site the second that somebody makes some noise.
Well, I mean, hey, the Nook was an idea, and ideas are great. Down goes Handy. He's secured by the Deimos of Fantasy. Now it's Wizard taking a damage inside a bathroom. FaZe keeping themselves in this. They will find 2 quick kills. Fantasy tearing through one more. He's on very limited HP. A single bullet will take him out. He and Cons now working together, chock full of utility. 1 grenade, 2 smokes, and full gadgetry for both, as there goes a death mark on the side of Fantasy. Vidaking harassed out of his position. Vidaking and KDS topping the charts for FaZe Clan is, again, not usually a good sign, but they are making it work. Cons got all 7 of his kills in the first 4 rounds and has yet to find one since. 6 of his 7 kills came in those 1v3 clutches in rounds 1 and 2. So he has completely fallen off of the earth. But again, in his role, you don't expect him to get kills. He's got the diffuser in hand, and while Fantasy goes hunting for kills upstairs, it will be incumbent upon Cons to walk the case in and potentially attempt to defuse.
Good information right now for the defenders. Default cam catches out Cons. Fantasy's position will be known as well, of course, just playing up above. Watch out for these smokes on Cons. That could be a big impact, and with Fantasy shutting down the flanks, this just became so much more doable. If they can get to a plant spot, Parker, there's not a lot of denial, but KDS might have just won the round, cleaning up Cons and putting Fantasy into a 1v2. I
gotta say, we've casted a lot of Rainbow Six over the last week, and this has to be one of the most confusing matches that we've seen. I don't understand the way that these teams are currently colliding with each other. That mirror of KDS should have been dead long ago, but it was a bit of a bottle by Cons. So, if you combine Vidaking and KDS, you get 1 full HP operator. Fantasy, you blow wind at him a little bit too heavy and he will fall over, and that's exactly what happens. Great answer back from FaZe Clan, and we will go to overtime because, of course, we need extra innings yet again.
And Parker, things go from bad to worse for NIP. Their worst nightmare has been realized. They were up 5-0, and I believe my exact words were, let's wrap it up and go to Clubhouse. Not to be seen, I guess. FaZe Clan, this is their map pick. They get the defensive side start, which is an absolutely critical factor, given that both of these teams have only been able to win a single successful attack through the 12 rounds played so far. I really feel like it's Vidaking's world, and we're all just living in it. You go back to Bank, he is the MVP that wins them that game. A 3K to clutch things out on the final 15th round on Bank was big on their other round as well to be able to win that overtime 8-7. Now we see him forcing his team through back-to-back 3Ks in rounds 11 and 12 to get to this point. 14-9, top fragging the server. I mean, Vidaking has been just incredible so far today. You can tell this is a guy who has played under pressure far worse than this, and he does not shake when things get tight. NIP, I don't know that we can say the same, Parker. They came so close to winning this match, and they still could, but they're up against a mountain of odds against them. Having to win at least 1 attack in the next 3 rounds is not going to be easy.
Again, this NIP team seeming like they have some plot armor here. FaZe Clan getting to defend twice on their own map. What an end it could be. Nip racking it up early in this series, but since round number 5, they've only been able to put a single victory on the board. That is a long time in the wilderness. 5 rounds in a row, 4 rounds, then 1 in a row by FaZe Clan, broken up by that single Nip round, and it was FaZe back-to-back to send us to OT.
I'm reloading.
Defenders right now are 10-2 in this series, and FaZe Clan has the opportunity to defend twice. Yeah, I don't love these odds for Nip.
Well, they'll have to beat them one way or another. To the surprise of no one, it appears to be an admin side clear, our 5th of the game for the top floor of Consulate.
Maybe I was surprised by that.
Were you?
You don't get to speak for me.
Were you surprised?
I was not.
Okay. Doesn't seem like FaZe were surprised either. I like these castle barricades set up to just slow them down. You don't have to commit to holding admin, of course. Kind of surprising that FaZe even went here, I guess, because this was the one bomb site that NIP were successful in attacking. Of course, only one of the 2 times they tried it, but even still, believe in their abilities to shut this down. It'll be a send strat to come out once again. Cons on the Blackbeard, looking very similar to every other push that we've seen on this bomb site. Some aggressive fights coming in from meeting, but Fantasy not being fought just yet.
One of the slower rounds when it comes to these opening picks to be had. FaZe Clan not just defending, but also settling into the side that they just played off of. It's not like they were on defense ages ago. This is their 7th defense in a row, and they will have but a slight break. If Nip is able to take this round, the likelihood of them winning absolutely skyrockets, and they haven't really suffered anything, but hold on a second. There they go. They lose Hates. He's being tracked by the castle of KDS. Finished off by Handy. Now the Blackbeard getting more aggressive, but a Nitro Cell as Handy does double duty, Jesse. Cyber now as well on the board. A shotgun as the ace of Fantasy hits the ground. Some breakdancing and smooth moves, evading that shotgun blast of Vidaking, who's got a 3K in the 2 most recent rounds. Circling now to tussle with that same ace that eluded him for so long. Fantasy in a 1v3. All hell breaking loose in the bomb site. Fantasy with 15 seconds left. No control over the diffuser, no control over the site, and will now run headfirst into FaZe's defense. 2 players standing tall, and FaZe will move to series point. I said I wouldn't say it until I mentioned it again, but could you imagine where we'd be if even one of those clutches at the start of this map had broken in favor of FaZe Clan as they should have? We'd be done and turning our sights towards the matches next week, but we're not. Nip will now get a chance to experience Fortress Consulate in a must-win round, or they go down to the lower bracket.
And the problem here, Parker, is, yes, this has been a very defender-sided map, but it's also been a very momentum-based map. You know, NIP took the first 5 rounds in a row in this game, and then FaZe Clan won a bit of a run. There was one break in the middle where NIP got an attack, but NIP haven't really had the momentum in a very long time in this game, and so yes, they go to the favorable side, but mentally, I'm not sure that they're going to be in it the same way they were through the first 5 rounds of this game. Only time will tell. I want to give a lot of praise to Handy on that previous round. He rotated down the yellow stairs the second his teammate got tracked by the Deimos. He kills the Deimos down below and hits a Nitro Cell for a little 2K opening pick. Starts off that round so strongly for FaZe Clan.
Activating camera.
This is not a team that gets afraid easily, and it's crazy to think that even in these high-pressure rounds, when everything's on the line, they're willing to take risks. They're willing to send it down a staircase to try to retake a position that probably wasn't in the initial strat book, but it's just an adaptation called for by the situation. Can NIP do the same? Can they be as flexible with everything on the line? If they can't, they'll go to the lower bracket and play Los. If they can, then they'll get a 15th chance. But man, I don't even know, Parker. I'm too nervous to figure out how it's gonna go.
You're nervous for teams that you don't even play for?
Yeah. You not get nervous casting these teams?
No.
I do.
Why would I get
My
nervous?
heart's racing. Because what if they lose?
What if they win?
Ugh.
What if they lose? What if they win?
Both are equally nerve-wracking.
I'm just here for a good time, and I will say, through all the matches that we've had, it has been a good time. This is my 5th day in a row of casting, and I've got to say, every single game, maybe not every game, but pretty much every single series has lived up to the billing. This one could go all 15 rounds as well. If you check the top of your screen, FaZe clawed their way through a scrappy first map. They took Nip's map 8-7. Now they've been pushed to the brink by Nip, but staved off defeat long enough to go to OT and win their very first defense. Now they have the onerous task of winning an attack. Nip statistically very favored on this side, even if Hates has taken quite a beating. First pick, conversions, very important in this matchup. 2/3 of the time you get that opening pick, you go on to win the round. That really bolsters your chances. There have been a lot of trades, so the numbers aren't as clear-cut as they could be. Just past the halfway point of this round, and nobody dead yet, though FaZe getting very close to this middle floor bomb site.
They're not going to commit to a top floor clear, Parker. They want to be planting under the smokes of Handy, and they can just pressure that top floor. Vidiking on the Capital will try to use his firebolts to stop anyone denying the plant from up above. It's a common strategy we see, but there's a lot of moving parts, and it really requires everybody to stay alive and do their job. If one thing goes wrong, such as Cons flanking up from the basement or somebody getting picked from the vertical, it could all fall to pieces. Very risky push from FaZe Clan, but they've got everything in order.
KDS with 13 kills, Vidiking with 14. Souls attempting the plant, but the Banshees gave him away. And Hates will use that gadget to good use. He's been downed in the ensuing fray, but the diffuser now is in the midst of the site. Will need to be retrieved, or FaZe will have to go for kills to win the round. Either way, the time is not on their side, and a 15th round looking most likely at the moment. Hates continuing to bleed out, and until he's picked back up, it's a 4v4. FaZe is an idea of where these players are, but you've got to actually take the heat to them. Now it's Pino and KDS coming to blows, both of them taking some damage. Top floor control, a real tricky spot in the midst of the smoke. Vidiking now trying his best. Down goes Wizard, down goes Fantasy. Hates gets picked up, but the Nitro Cell kills Vidiking at the last second, and Nip hangs on. Another 15 rounder. And yet again, Nip will fight for their lives, lose, and they are down to the lower bracket.
I told you it was going to be a push on the nice edge, Parker. It was a very fragile execute where everything had to go right. Somehow, Hates got a vertical angle. He was upstairs inside of meeting, and supposedly there's supposed to be firebolts from Vidiking that will stop that denial from happening, but whether they were misplaced, whether they were mistimed, we really don't know. Maybe Hates just found an angle that it wasn't known of by Vidiking, and he was able to stop that plant from happening. He did plant just inside the door, whereas often you see that plant going kind of deep, tucked in behind the corner for a more difficult denial vertically. Regardless, we're here on round 15. Doesn't really matter now how we got here. NIP still have the task of finding an attacking round win, something that they have only done a single time since this map started. Choice will be Piano Exposition, so we go back-to-back on the same bomb sites as FaZe Clan will repeat. Their operator lineup compared to the last couple times that they defended this is going to be looking relatively similar, at least the same as the last time that we saw it. With the Valkyrie ban, they can't bring that back out, but it might be better that Cyber's on the Mozzie. We've already seen him catch a drone, and if that HUD is to believe, I think he's caught 2 separate drones in the prep phase, Parker.
I refuse to comment on whether or not the HUD can be trusted. There have been some, maybe, minor issues. Oh my, with drones. Why are you doing that in round 15?
Cyber, Parker.
It doesn't matter. You are 1 round away for qualifying from the major. You lost 2 rounds because of boneheaded decisions to start this map. And the guy who's supposed to be your top fragger decides to spawn peek in the first 30 seconds of round 15. You lose this map, you go to Clubhouse. Like, what are you doing?
Previous spawn peaks have worked out for him, but this one does get denied. If NIP start to turn it around and finally respond to it, then credit to them for adapting. This 4v5 is an okay spot to be in still if you're FaZe Clan. NIP have gone for, honestly, a very similar push to what FaZe just attempted. At least they have the operators to do much the same. They've got Pino, who's playing on that Capitao, which can launch the firebolts to stop the vertical denial. They've got Khans, who's going to be playing on this Blackbeard, likely trying to get the plant down with the shield on his back. But unlike FaZe Clan, I think there's a bit heavier of a commitment to clearing these top floor players. They've got time in the early round to pressure them, force them back out these positions, and pop the mirror windows. So why not commit to that? If you lose your Blackbeard or Capitao early, they could be in a dangerous spot, though.
It's not just that you lost the Mozzie, too. If you really did trap 2 drones and they hadn't been repositioned, those drones are getting you limited intel as well. Those could be very valuable tools for FaZe Clan. Nip has read into this one correctly. They got assertive. They got the opening pick. Get closer to this top floor control that you desperately need. Hates dying early has been a trend line through this second half. It will continue in the 15th and final round. 1 minute remains, and these two teams now in a 4v4. Nip tried to take advantage of that opening pick. They get fed into a trap, and now they will reassemble themselves in that same position, but they'll discover that FaZe Clan, for the most part, has managed to get away. Handy escaping, a Nitro Cell goes up, down goes Fantasy. Now, Khan's charging his way towards the smoke, but Handy just cannot be found. He continues to slip through their fingers, Jesse. 30 seconds to go, and back upstairs. Khans will bring that defuse kit. They're just trying as much as they can through these kill holes to make life miserable for the defenders downstairs. No secondary utility, no main utility available for FaZe Clan. Only 2 impacts in pocket of Vidaking. As now Khans is dropped, taking an engagement. He gets shredded. Wizard on the board. FaZe Clan with the advantage, and it's all up to Wizard with limited time. Nip put on an absolute clinic, but FaZe Clan are just far too strong, and FaZe will head to the Munich Major. My, what a scare it was, but they pull it out at the 11th hour in both maps.